reason why they mad, cause I'm real and they be faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking American. This MAGA season, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. This for free thinkers only, you ain't got no membership. They free General Flint out the cage, cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone, cause the world know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement. Tell Justin Smollett that I know this MAGA country. Tell China we know they...
Hello, everybody. We are live. I am going to give a quick introduction. We have two audiences in the house tonight. We are streaming simultaneously on my channel and also on Fixing My Faith. So I'm going to try my best to get into the comments, but this is live. So if you have any questions, we will definitely get to them at the end of the stream because we have a lot to cover, a lot to get into. And I am debuting the new wig. This is the political wig. And so the people have spoken because I put a poll for you guys. I said, which one do you want to see me for the political? And you guys chose the ombre. So this is what I'm going to be looking like every Tuesday night. All right, just wanted to put that out there. I am going to bring Jimmy in just a second. I also have like a political intro, like I'm getting professional. All right, I'm going to play that intro and then we're going to bring everybody up to the stage. Yay! We have Jimmy in the house tonight.
Good evening, Ruby. How are you doing this evening?
I am doing so good. I have literally been sitting here for the past hour just waiting. Like, I'm so excited.
Man, I had to go do dishes. I had to go fold laundry. I had all this nervous energy. And I was like, it's only 8:10. I got to go do something. Made coffee already for tomorrow and everything. So I don't know what it is, but every time I get ready to do one of these lives, going all the way back to the round table and the big picture, I always get nervous before we go live. I don't know why. But once I start talking, I'm good.
Right. But I'm also, I'm not going to lie. To be honest, I'm still a little traumatized about what happened on Saturday. So I kind of feel weird still. Like, I don't know, like I can't shake it, but it just feels like I've never seen that before.
Right.
Oh, yes. That's what I wanted to bring back because I told everybody, if you haven't seen our first episode, I was like posting it everywhere because I was like, I highly suggest that you see our last conversation because we literally spoke about this.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Like quite literally. And I wanted to just play a clip of our last conversation so that people can just get a taste of how shocking it was for me. Like if you saw me on 6 screens when I joined the live, and then I saw your live, and then I went live, and I took it down since then because I felt like I was just like all over the place. But this is why I was so all over the place, because look what we said. I'm going to share my screen. Look what we said. Okay, you should be able to see. Let's see. Okay, right here.
We're doing a psychological operation to get people to think for the damn selves.
Right.
So yeah, there's more I can say about that, but hold back.
Okay, no, that's your theory. That's a good theory. I have one. My theory is that you know exactly what happened to JFK. I took that assassination very personally when I was waking up to politics and stuff like that, and I've always felt that was an inside job. So it was like my brain couldn't really accept 9/11, but when it came to JFK, I was like, oh, they know who killed him, or
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that was the government. I that a similar thing might happen with just like JFK. I think that they might try to assassinate a president or a former president. That right there is why I have been freaking out since Saturday, because we had this live stream last Tuesday and I literally told you I felt that they were going to try to do something as big as that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was sitting here looking for a post that I put out, very similar. And we'll piggyback on this. I said on May 19th of 2021, I said, speculation time, do not panic, patriots. They have come up with something big to clog the news cycle, so that they have to come up with something big to clog the news cycles so the true information does not get out to the public. Here are my 4 guesses of what they might try to push as fact. I hope I'm wrong, but you never know what they're going to try. And my 4 predictions were: 1, arrest Trump; 2, assassination or attempt of Trump; 3, alien invasion; and 4, climate emergency. I put that out in May of 21. 3 of those 4 predictions have come true. So I understand how you feel. And I mean, you said it last Tuesday, and then it happened Saturday. So I can understand why you're like, oh my God, what the heck?
I was screaming, Jimmy, and we were on vacation. So I'm in this hotel room and we just start screaming. And I was like, where is my phone? I need to call Jimmy. Like literally, I was running all over the place. Because I'm like, and just to put it out there, I'm not into the kind of stuff like you are, like, you know, very into politics and like following these forums. I'm not into that. I literally just said that night as like just having a conversation with a friend. Like I'm not really in that deep, even though I try to be like on top of things and like educate myself as much as possible. So for that to be said on Tuesday and then for something to happen that Saturday, I was freaking out. And that's why I called you immediately and you were like, relax, it's gonna be okay, you know, like you brought me back down, so I want to thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. You're welcome. And I'll just say that your gut instinct and your intuition is on point right now, so that's awesome.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to go ahead and show this clip? This what is like a 30-second clip. Do you want to go ahead and show that real quick?
Is that the grouper one?
Do you want me to show it? Yes. Do you want me to show it now?
Yeah, go ahead and show it now. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to share this tab instead. And I'll play it twice because I really want people to see the imaging and the message behind it, because it's like 30 seconds. It's really quick. So I'll play it twice.
I tell you what, before we show that clip, let's go ahead and put some, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's give some warnings to folks about this show. Okay, what we're going to be doing.
Yes, go ahead.
First off, this is for entertainment purposes only. Everything we say here is our opinion. We have that. And also, I just want to say we're going to talk about things that are very controversial tonight. And what I want folks to do is to leave emotion out of this conversation. And let's look at facts. Let's look at evidence. Now, there's going to be times that we're going to speculate on some things, because that's what you do when you're having a conversation. It's like when you're watching a movie together at a movie theater, you're halfway through it, and you're nudging your buddy, say, what do you think is going to happen? Well, I think this might happen. Well, I think this may happen. No, you're wrong. Blah, 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 blah. And you get to the end, and it's like both of you are sitting there like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. I did not see that coming. So kind of look at it that way. We're not here to brainwash you into believing one side or whatever. We're here to have a conversation, and we're going to do it. And me and Ruby respect each other anyway, but also please do that in the comments as well. And just know that Ruby's done research. I've done research. We are sharing with you what we found. If you found anything else different than that, let us know. We can have that conversation. And I think, Ruby, we're going to do our part, and then we're going to open up the lines later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So after like reaching up to the second hour, I can put a link in the chat, and then any one of you guys, if you're still watching, you can definitely join us. And I also want to put another disclaimer out there.
Disclaimer. That's what I was looking for.
Oh yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So yeah, another disclaimer is that I did get full permission from Vern and Shauna. I did let them know that it might be controversial for some people. It might be offensive. I don't know. I can't really gauge that. You know, we're XJWs. I'm not used to having these conversations, so I don't know. But I know that I'm okay with it. Jimmy's okay with it. So we're talking with each other, and this is really my show. So, my views, Jimmy's views, this is not affiliated with them. You know, Fixing My Faith is a separate channel. This is just my show on their channel. So they have like really nothing to do with what I'm doing. We're just streaming it so that more people can more people can join us.
Excellent. Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm going to put this clip on here. It's very deep. It's very emotional. It's something that I myself have seen in real life. So just putting it out there. Mature audiences only. Okay. I mean, I'm just gonna also put that out there. All right.
You know what? That video is worth 3 months of rabbit holes.
Exactly right. And that's why I'm like, yo, let me play this twice, because every single time I see that edit, and I've seen it before you sent it to me, it hits me kind of hard. Because I've mentioned this before. I was there in 9/11. I saw it. I was on my way to school. My whole family is from there. My father was a first responder. He risked his life trying to save people. I didn't see my dad for weeks, when that happened. So it was very traumatizing as a little girl. Like, I was 5 years old, but that's something that I would never forget.
Right.
But that's also another reason why I kind of woke up to the world at 5 years old. Like, forget about the doomsday cult. I literally saw 2 buildings fall in my city,
Right.
And so that kind of incorporated with the Jehovah's Witness stuff. It was like, we got to preach to people because Armageddon is coming. Did you see what happened? So many people died. And we were preaching this message of, you're going to be resurrected. Your loved ones are going to be resurrected. So it was like, I was in that campaign in the city as a little girl preaching to people, like, it was very traumatizing. Even some Jehovah's Witnesses died that day. And so when I see certain edits like this, it's like, yes, it's educational, but it's also, it incorporates a lot of things that the media buried. 20 years later, we're finding out about dancing Israelis. We're talking about these things at finally 20 something years later. But today we're not here for that. I just wanted to show that so that people can see it.
I want to say this because I was thinking about things I wanted to say in the video, make sure I didn't forget it. You just said that 9/11 was over 20 years ago, and we still have questions. All right. The JFK assassination was 60 years ago. We still have questions, but people still talk about JFK and they still talk about 9/11. So tonight, we're going to talk about the attempted assassination of President Trump. And I'm sure there's still going to be a lot of questions about what happened. So, yeah, I think more will be exposed, but that's where we're at. So.
Yeah, exactly. Because that video also showed JFK, and you see, that's why I'm happy that the clip put it together, because that's the conspiracy. It's like 9/11 inside job, JFK inside job, now Donald Trump inside job. Like,
Yes.
how many times do you think this is gonna keep happening, and people are still gonna be asleep? Absolutely not. People are waking up every single day, and
see,
you got two different generations here waking up.
Yeah, and see, what people have to realize is the deep state uses the same playbook over and over and over again. So whatever they tried to do in the 1930s, all the people living in the 1930s, they're old or gone. So they try to use their playbook again on the new generations. And they use their propaganda, their brainwashing through the social media, through TVs, through radio. That's how they operate. But we can always, you sent me a list of things you want to talk about. Well, let's just go ahead and tell the audience this real quick. Ruby sent me a list after we did the last show, and like, Jimmy, these are all the things we need to discuss. And I looked at her and I said, do you know how long it took me to research all this stuff? I said, wow, we're going to be talking for a while. So
we have to chop it up. It has to be different episodes. We got to chop it up. This is also new for me. And I didn't really know that you kind of already dived into this in the big picture. So in the description below, I put your Big Chew account there and the video, because episode 2 of your show is kind of underlining with this topic, which is the deep state and like conspiracy type stuff that they have been involved in a lot of things that we think, oh, it was a terrorist attack, or oh, it was a regular a mentally ill man who shot JFK. Like, we believe the narrative, or we used to believe the narrative, and now it's like, okay, so who's the deep state? What is the deep state? And so that's why I got Jimmy here, because those are the types of questions that I really want to ask you. Who is the deep state, or what is the deep state?
All right, so the deep state is any corrupt 3-letter agency as part of it. This goes back to the Council of 300. It goes to the Vatican. It starts with 3 cities. First, it starts with the United States. We are the military arm of the deep state. The City of London is the financial arm of the deep state, and the Vatican is the spiritual arm of the deep state. So all of these 3 cities are independent cities. They are not beholden to Italy. The other one's not beholden to the UK, and Washington, D.C. is not part of the United States. It's its own little separate entity. And these 3 states, the people that run these 3 different states, and it goes up even higher, the Pope, the Jesuits, the Black Pope, it goes higher. So it's a conglomeration of families that have manipulated the banking, religious, and political systems in their favor. And they are the ones that have been controlling everything. And what they do is they infiltrate different organizations like our 3-letter agencies here in the United States, your DHS, your DOJ, your FBI, the CIA, the WHO, Federal Reserve. They infiltrate at the highest levels of these agencies, and then they push their agenda that way. So when someone says, well, isn't the FBI good? Okay, well, there's good people in the FBI, but they have no power at the top. So for them to keep their jobs and to stay in line, I guess you could say, they have to do whatever the top says. And so when they don't, then they become whistleblowers, and the deep state does not like whistleblowers. So that's why they go after these whistleblowers and shut them up, try to shut them up, take them out, imprison them, whatever. So in Cliff Note version, that's what the deep state is. It's a 4th arm of our government, the 4th pillar, I guess you could say.
Right, and they work behind the scenes, basically.
Correct.
Right,
and they're all unelected. They're all unelected,
right.
And so so we've had no control they've had all the control for a very long time.
Yeah.
And when you
okay, I agree with
yeah. And when you go up against that control, things happen. Like
or you disappear.
Yeah.
Right. So. Oh my goodness. Okay. I totally agree with that. So, okay, so that's the correlation. So we're basically speculating that the deep state had something to do with the assassination attempt on Trump. Or at least that's how we're looking at it. Because in my opinion, I'll just speak for myself. In my opinion, I'm like, I don't believe in mistakes. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe, I sort of believe 50% in the incompetence, because it's humans, we're dealing with people. But at the same time, like at the level of Secret Service and stuff like that, I don't think that somebody as amateur as a 20-something-year-old little kid, young man, can bypass government agencies that are supposed to protect a president. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little fishy. So what's your opinion?
Well, I tell you what, before we go into all that, because I was thinking what we could do is we could like break it up in kind of a mini subjects. We could talk about the perimeter, then we could go into the shooter, and then we could talk, kind of go from there on that. But what I also want to say, and this will feed into your next tab, is one of the things the deep state has to do is they have to telegraph their moves. It's a ritual they have, and it's a belief that they have to tell the people what they're going to do. And they don't do it directly. They do it through your movies, through interviews, through the TV programs. This is how they do it. And then that way they can say, oh, well, we told everybody, they just didn't listen. Or we told everybody and nobody bucked up against us. So our karmic retribution is fine. They have to do this. And so that's why it's so important to look at patterns, listen to what people are saying, and then ask yourself, why are they saying this? What are they pointing to? What's their next move? And knowing that they use the same playbook over and over again, once they start talking and you're in tune with that, you can be like, they're getting ready to do something.
Right. Yeah.
They're getting ready to do something. So in this instance, this situation, let's take a look at the example of this and see if you folks remember these words that were said.
Okay.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. and you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
That's pretty powerful. And people need to understand that was all done between 2016 and 2020. And just here recently, we had Joe Biden say, oh, we need to put Trump in a bullseye. That was just said like a couple of weeks ago. And so this is why when this incident happened on Saturday, I wasn't shocked, because I knew that these people have been pushing that rhetoric, and I knew that something was going to happen. I didn't know when. And that's what I told you that other night that you called me. I was like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? And so those are some pretty powerful clips. And that right there, all those people, I don't care what political leaning they were, let's just take them as human beings. Those, if you want to call them human beings, they're pushing violence, divisiveness, and hatred. That's exactly what you saw there. And so when certain people try to label Trump supporters as angry terrorists and angry domestic terrorists, all they are doing is projecting what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. So I think that was actually on one of my list of things to do. We'll talk about there. So
wow, that's shocking. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I have never even seen that in my life. Like, I remember when it was happening, like 2016 and onward, to present. But I have never seen that type of rhetoric or language being used on national television, like ever since I was a little girl. And and to see it now, that's a little shocking.
Well, see, and that's the reason why I woke up, Ruby, is because, like I said, in March of 2020, I was like, why is there so much hatred for this man? And so then I started digging to find out why. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. But just to feed off that of things that we didn't know, I just found this out. I said on our last interview that there had been several assassination attempts on Trump already. And I don't have the screenshots with that, but I can prove that. The one that can definitely prove is this one right here. And folks probably don't even know about this. June 20th of 2016. Now, this is before the election. 19-year-old arrested for attempting to kill Donald Trump at Las Vegas rally. A man arrested at a Donald Trump rally in Las Vegas Saturday admitted to authorities he tried to grab a gun from a police officer because he wanted to kill the presumptive Republican nominee. He wasn't even the Republican nominee yet. The federal officer says the man, 19-year-old Michael Stephen Sanford. Sanford told officers he drove to Las Vegas from California to kill Trump. So they've been trying this for a while. So what happened Saturday was not something new. It's new for folks that don't know what's going on or haven't been following up with stuff. But this is a pattern. It's a pattern. This is what I'm referring to.
Right. But I think it gets worse now is because we started seeing the political persecution in the court system, like the justice system. They were trying to go after Trump for like dumb things. And in my opinion, and I'm not really as political as I was, before, but even back then I was like, they impeached him twice. If there was something that he did that was illegal or whatever, that would have came up during those proceedings, and it didn't. They used up their chances to try to impeach him, and it didn't work. So why are you trying to get him for something and he's not even the president anymore, and you're still chasing the guy? Like, that's a vendetta, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what one of the points I had on here is everything that they have tried has failed. And they tried to, we are in an information war, folks. We have been since 2016, 2017. Some will call it World War III already. And so when the deep state tried the impeachments, they tried Russia, the Steele dossier, the P-tape, January 6th. That's a whole nother episode there.
For real.
All the indictments and everything, they tried all of that, and all that falls into the information category. They know they've lost the information war, so they've had to take it physical, because that's the only type of war they know how to win. They know how to control. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq. Shall I go on? Again, a pattern. It's a pattern. So they've taken this physical, and because of what they tried to do to assassinate President Trump, they've used up that chance now. And so I think I don't think that they're going to stop. I think they're still going to try, but it's going to be a lot more difficult now because people are like looking at this right now. And so I think the next phase that they're going to go to, but pretty much all they have left, is chaos and panic. And they're going to push the World War III scenario and everything like that. But they're going to start riots in the streets. They want a civil war, and this is why I have constantly reminded folks: no matter what happens, we have to remain peaceful, because they want us angry.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think there's a quote from Andrew Tate, and I'm not a supporter of him. I don't like the guy, but there's one thing that he said that was true. He says you have 3 lives. They try to assassinate your character by trying to, say, he's a criminal, he sexually assaulted a woman, he did, etc. And then the second piece is they try to go after, they try to get your job, they try to ruin your life, they try to do everything in their power to try to bring you down, censor you, try to take you off the internet, try to completely make you disappear, as if your voice and opinion doesn't matter. And then the third one, the second one is like the information war, and then the third one is they lost all the other ones, so the last resort is to try to take you out, because they tried every other way and they didn't succeed. And it's like the hatred, like you said before, the hatred is more than the respect for the Constitution, for freedom of speech, for freedom to protest or whatever. And it's like they don't even let the law work anymore. It's like, take it into your own hands, go to the streets, like exactly what Maxine Waters was saying. That's why I'm in shock, because I'm like, isn't that inciting a riot when she's saying to try to harass people just because of who they support?
Yep. That's exactly right. And so, and it spilled over to this event that we had. I mean, there's a lot more behind this, and we're not going to solve the Trump assassination attempt tonight. If you're here looking for that, no, it's not going to happen, because there's a lot more coming out. A lot came out today, but we're going to examine some of the things. So let's talk about the perimeter. Let's talk about that. Okay. Let's just kind of go step by step here. I've been to Trump rallies. I've been to 2 of them. And I know for a fact that the Secret Service, when you go in, they check you. They check you 100%. Then also, when you're looking around the area, you'll see the snipers and everything on the buildings. I know when I went, that's what I saw. When I went to J6, they had snipers on every freaking building. That day. All right. They also usually have helicopters flying over, or they have drones doing that as well. And they also have satellite imagery. They use that as well. So the perimeter, from what I'm understanding, they usually plan out 1,000 yards from the center of where the president's going to be. They usually do it for about 1,000 yards, and then they secure everything in that perimeter. The question is, how did this dude get to where he got with all their capabilities there?
Yeah.
Why did that happen? Now, I listened to one of the podcasts and I found out that the counter snipers that were there apparently only got 1 day notice. They usually require 3 days notice. They only got 1 day's notice and they had to go there, and they were not briefed right away when they got there. Also, too, the building that the kid climbed was actually where all the police, the local police, that was their staging area.
Right.
That building was their staging area. So how did he get up there? You know?
Right.
So let's see what else was on the perimeter. When it comes to the Secret Service, they pulled, and you guys can look all this stuff up. I'm not lying to you or making stuff up right now. They pulled the normal detail for Donald Trump, his normal security detail, and they moved them to an event that Jill Biden was doing in Pennsylvania about 45 minutes away. They pulled the detail away. So he didn't get the B team or the C team or the D team. He got the F team, okay? And if you look at some of the videos, how in the world are you going to have, and this is no offense to females, whatever, how in the world are you going to have a 5'3" female shield a 6'3" man?
I'm telling you.
And knowing that one of the main goals, and she stated it, Kimberly Cheadle, the head of the Secret Service, she stated that their goal by 2030, I think it was to have 30% of the Secret Service under the DEI, diversion, equity, and inclusion. And what have we learned when other companies install this DEI crap just to make the companies go to crap?
Yeah.
Because you don't have qualified people doing the job. And I think the videos that we've seen with the Secret Service and their action, those people there were not qualified to do their job.
Right. No, yeah. So, but you see that those are the little red flags that I'm telling you. I don't believe in mistakes and I don't believe in coincidences. So whatever was happening, I believe, and this is just my theory. Once again, I don't want to jinx myself like I did last Tuesday, but I think that they allowed something to happen. They probably got the tip or whatever, and the local police ignored it. And even the people that were there, like we have the interview of the eyewitness saying that there was people yelling and screaming like, hey, that guy has a gun and he's just broad daylight walking around climbing a ladder, like, hello, can y'all do something? And nobody was doing anything about that. So I'm like, so what are you here for? You a police officer, do your job. So that's why, to me, when I was watching this on TV, that's the anger that I'm like, oh, this is too obvious to a normal person. And if it's not, I'm sorry. Like, if you don't see it, nobody could help you. I can't help you if you can't see how deliberate it was, because that's how angry we were. And that's why I was screaming that day. And I'm like, I gotta call somebody. And then after I spoke on the phone with you that day, I called my dad, because he used to be a SWAT, emergency unit SWAT team in New York City, NYPD. So my dad has always been on detail when a president came into New York City. He knows the protocols. He knows how things are supposed to be done. And he is the local NYPD to help out with the Secret Service and in crews. And you're right there, because you don't play games. They will shoot you. You know what I mean? So I'm like, for this to happen, I'm like, nah, chill. I don't believe nothing that's going on right now. But it's the imaging. It's the image of seeing Donald Trump, the blood, the screaming, all of that imaging will rile up those emotions, even if you're not political, because I never really considered myself political. I'm just interested. I'm just curious. Yeah. But in between of all my curiosity, I'm being faced with all this, like rushing me. I feel like I'm getting hit by a train every single time when I'm like, damn, I'm just trying to vote this year. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't even let me vote. Like, I'm just trying to live my life. Inflation. I can't even go to the supermarket. Like simple things that 20 years ago would have been easy for my parents, it's hard for me. And I'm like, damn, these people don't let me live.
Right. Well, they don't want people just living their lives. They want the control over everything. That's for sure. Another thing to look at in regards to this whole failure, you could say, in security lapse, which we'll talk more about that. But the guy that was on the two guys that were on the roof behind Trump, they had their guns pointed towards that building.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't know if you folks have seen the video. Well, I'm sure most of y'all have seen the video, but he's looking in, and then he looks up, and then he looks back down and engages. All right. So I made a connection last night because what happened is when the guy got up there on the roof, a local police officer did go, and this is reported as fact. A local police officer did go up that ladder, pulled himself up on the roof to look. And from what's been said, the shooter waved the gun at the guy, and the guy, you get a gun waved in your face. What are you going to do? You're going to go down. Okay. Because he thought he might have got shot. And as soon as that happened, the guy started popping off the rounds. And what I think, and I think that's why the shooter was, when he looked up, I think that's when he saw the police officer come up and make an appearance. And then he had to go back down because the shooter started firing when he did. Right after that, he was spooked, and he had to start shooting right then and there. So I think that he wasn't supposed to shoot yet. And that right there is what caused the deep state operation to fail. Where did Ruby go? Oh, Lord. This happened last week. All right. I don't know where Ruby went, folks. While we wait for Ruby to get back, let me just look through the comments. Human beings. Same thing. Flip side, can you do a backflip? I don't know why she got booted again. This is crazy. All right, let's see. So I've heard about the candidate, Trump, until officially the Republican nominee from the GOP is not allowed more than his own normal detail because it costs too much. Well, he's had so many rallies here in the last year that the security that he has had has been sufficient, and they've done what they needed to do to protect him. That wasn't the case with this situation. There's more security more security at a BLM protest. I heard a woman say, if I was going to be protected by someone, I choose a man over a woman 10 times out of 9. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm all for equality and women being able to do jobs, but a 5'3" lady should not be doing Secret Service. Shouldn't be doing that. The female agent who fumbled when bolstering her weapon. Yeah, that looked amateurish, didn't it? When she was messing around with her weapon, she didn't know she couldn't get it in there. Seriously. Home of Deadlands Golf Course. Ruby did a dream, a genie thing. No disrespect to women. Yeah, no disrespect at all. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking about the situation, and then Ruby can, I guess, come back on here in a little bit. Okay. So what I have found out is this shooter, he appeared in a BlackRock video not too long, about a year ago. That has shown up. For those that know who BlackRock is, you might understand the connection there. If you don't know who BlackRock is, you might want to go ahead and do some research on who they are and how much control these people, along with Vanguard, have over corporations. Also found out that his mom and dad were both behavioral. They worked in the social services department. They were both behavioral counselors. I think that's what it was. I think at least the mom. And so that falls into the pattern again of possible MK Ultra stuff. these people be on medication. There she is.
Jimmy, what the hell is going on?
I don't know. And I hate when you leave me like that because I got to pick up the show.
Jimmy, yo, I swear to God, my internet went out again. And the modem says internet is fine. And my computer went black again.
Oh my goodness. That's so weird.
What the hell is, I'm legit scared, bro. I'm here screaming by myself because I'm in the dark. Like I'm in the living room and I just got this light right here. And I'm checking the internet and I'm turning on my mic and I'm looking at the camera like, are you serious right now?
So where did you get kicked out at? Where were we at?
And
I was talking about the shooters on the roof.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what it was. You were, I guess you were saying the truth too much and it didn't want me to hear it.
All right, so I started talking about the profile of the shooter, and I've already mentioned about his mom and dad working in the behavioral sciences. So they were doing that, and how that can tie into MK Ultra, which we know that these people that are MK Ultra, and it's a proven fact that the government uses this, where they manipulate people's minds to get them to do what they want them to do. So I haven't seen any evidence yet of him being on any type of drugs. I haven't seen anything yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to come out. So we also know that he was trying to join the school's gun club. There was a school, and the coach or the teacher of that class said he was an incredibly bad shot. So I guess he wasn't doing too well in his gun class. So what the deep state does is they find a patsy. They find a fall guy. And this guy fit the what's the word? Damn, I don't know why I can't come up with words. The profile. He fit the profile.
yes.
Somebody, young, nerdy, got bullied in school, just all these problems as kids having. And what they normally do is they go to this person, they use the mind control, the MK Ultra, and sometimes they promise them, hey, you help us out, we'll take care of you, we'll do this, we'll do that. Well, dead men tell no tales. So now your volume's not working.
Okay, so can I play that clip of the interview? The witness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's get that rolling because that's exactly what we're talking about. And okay, let me see. How do I share my screen? Okay. Listen, I'm scared straight right now. My heart is beating, so
you're fine. Let the show go. The show must go on.
Okay, so you should be able to see it. I'm going to press play and we'll be right back.
Tell us what you saw. So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Breakfast Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party. And we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees out there under the shade, and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, we're here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up
you
there.
saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, I mean, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
It's incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof right there.
Did you get a look at him? Could you?
No, other than he was in muted colors, tan type clothing. We saw the rifle flinging around as he was trying to crawl. I mean, we saw the rifle, 100%.
Do you know about guns? Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
Oh, I absolutely know about guns, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it was a rifle of some sort. I wouldn't know, I wasn't close enough to read the label on it, but it was a rifle of some sort. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you process what you've just seen?
I don't know what to say, man. All I'll tell you is, if I walked up close to there with anything that Secret Service considered a problem, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. But I don't know why a guy who we're standing there pointing out to police and Secret Service is crawling up the roof. Yes, right there by that tree. We were outside the security permit. But my question is, there's only a few buildings around here. Why is Secret Service not on every building here?
Well, there's a whole bunch of questions I think that are going to come.
There's a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Yes, she was right in front of me. She kept going back and forth right in front of me. Yes.
Tell us about her.
I mean, nice horse, nice lady running with a flag. Seemed very, patriotic.
But what's the significance of her?
No, he asked me if I saw a horse.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm sorry you had to witness that. That was a terrible thing. And you should stay safe with your family and
gotcha.
Yourself. Thanks for
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So the other thing and it has been reported by the Pennsylvania local police in that town that they actually were witnessing this guy and had eyes on him 30 minutes before shots rang out. And there's also another video showing the time Trump was speaking, and there was like the time that people pointed this guy out, and it was like 2 minutes. The dude was up there for 2 minutes and nothing was done. Okay. So I want to address a comment that I just saw in the chat while we were watching that video. Somebody said we're being misled. Because they said that this is staged. Yes, this thing was staged, but there's more to it than it just being staged by there's way more to this. And I think as we go through this and explain it, maybe you'll see what we're talking about. But we're trying to take this by piece and analyze this, okay? Instead of just jumping into, oh, well, it was staged. Well, to the commenter, in your opinion, who staged it? Okay? Who staged it? You just can't say it's staged without any evidence or backup you need to back up your argument. And that's what we're doing here is we're building the scenario of what's been going on. Okay, so we know that the perimeter was not secure. We know that the shooter was identified before the shots happened. We know a police officer saw him. So there is a complete failure by the Secret Service here. Okay, that can be seen.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is you got to look at who is the head of the Secret Service. That would be the lady named Kimberly Cheadle. Look at her background. Look who she supports. I'll give you one clue. Clinton. And that's one person she supports. Okay. The other thing is, who does she answer to? She answers to Alejandro Mayorkas at the Department of Homeland Security. And we know what Mayorkas has been up to here lately by leaving our border open, destroying America that way, blah, blah, blah. Another funny thing, she was asked, well, why weren't there snipers on that roof that the guy was on? She said today, oh, it was a slope and we were afraid people would slip off of that, so we wanted to keep them safe. Okay, but the guy that was looking through the rifle and looked up and looked back down, they were on a slope. So lady, that doesn't fly.
Yep.
And one thing folks have to remember is the way the deep state operates is they have to have the fall guy, like I mentioned before, and then they have somebody in the back actually doing the job. So knowing that this young kid was a bad shot, he apparently started this thing way too early. He wasn't supposed to shoot it then. That right there started the unraveling of their plan. And
Okay, now I think I understand what you're saying, because later on it came out that there was probably maybe a second shooter or maybe a third. Okay.
Correct. And I received something tonight that I may play as the devil's advocate thing here after we're done talking about this. And I'll just say I haven't been able to verify it yet, but it was sent to me. And it adds more perspective. Remember, folks, we are in a war. So there's two sides here battling. And we know the rhetoric because we saw the video of what these people have been doing and saying about Donald Trump. So we know for a fact that he is a marked man and the deep state wants to get rid of him. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
All right. So they have a fall guy. He was supposed to start his shooting, but his main job was to create chaos and panic in the crowd, shooting into the crowd and everything like that. And then the other shooter would be the one that take out Trump.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's a video of a lady that was there, and I think I sent it to you. I don't know if we queued it up or not, but there was a lady that was there. She said that there were shots coming from the other side of the stage as well, which would have been to Trump's left side, up behind the stands, that there was something coming up there. And this is speculation. We don't know for sure, but that those are the bullets that hit the people in the stands, or those three people, I think it was. So there's way more to this, folks. So
is that the video you sent me with the woman in her car?
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah, I did.
Play it.
Okay.
Please.
Let me see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's not letting me play it.
The left side of
Oh, Lord.
There you go.
from behind the left side of the bleachers to the left of Trump. I promise you that. And you can hear people saying that the shooter's over there, the shooter's over there. Probably not the only shooter. I am not saying that there was not a guy on the roof to the right of Trump, because there was. But there was also another. Be for real. Be so for real. You guys cannot take snippets of news and think that they're telling you the whole truth. They haven't all this time. Why? Like, they're not going to start now. There was more than one shooter there that day. I promise you.
All right, so that kind of that didn't go into the video that she showed. I don't think I missed that. But that's fine. That's fine. So let's recap. We have failed security. We have somebody allowing to get up there, and we have shots fired. We have some people on the ground. Those things we know for a fact. And we know that I 100% believe that this was a deep state operation, but I think it went awry. And I think several things caused it to go awry. Now, as far as Trump is concerned, and this goes back to this dude in the chat.
Yes.
I don't know, and you don't know exactly how things are playing out either.
Right.
Trump knows stuff. Okay. He does know stuff. I mean, you can't be president for 4 years and see all the classified information and not know anything.
Right.
Now, and I've said this before too. If Trump is part of the deep state and the Illuminati and all that, and it comes to, and we all find out that that is 100% true, then he needs to be held at justice. He needs to be held accountable as well. And justice needs to find him.
Right. Agreed.
So,
yeah.
We've had no actual evidence of that stuff right now. He's the most vetted person in the world, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you guys because this was sent to me today. And like I said, I can't verify it yet. I still need to do some research. Let's see. Where is it at? Very, very interesting. Click on that. What was I going to say before I actually read this? Oh my Lord. Help me out. I had a brain fart. This is what happens when we do live videos.
But I also want to piggyback on that comment as well.
Okay,
in the chat.
go ahead. Maybe I'll remember what I was going to say before I did this.
Yeah, because Mr. M said it, and also Colty mentioned it, that they also theorized that maybe Trump was in on it. And if anybody has seen my appearance, because I went on the 6 screens, you were there, Eric was on there, Gigi, Jesse, everybody was on there. I literally said that on that stream. I said, can you possibly think, like my mind even goes further, on both sides.
Yeah.
Can you possibly think that maybe Trump knew about it or let it happen, or maybe it was a body double and they didn't really worry about it to garner that emotion so that it can push undecided voters to definitely vote for Trump because they see what's going on. And that can also be the show that we're watching. We're watching Trump letting this happen so that people can see, like, you see, they're after me, they're trying to kill me, and then that would make you want to vote for him. So it could go both ways, and I do agree with Colty and Mr. M in the chat that I also went that far as well. And then Eric said on the chat, "Oh, do you really think that Trump would put himself in harm's way or whatever?" And I'm like, no, I don't think so. But I'm saying maybe Jimmy's right. Maybe it was a double, and they let this happen so that Trump can get the upper hand that way.
All right. So what I was going to say on this is when I first saw the video. And I was just looking at everything, and I actually was sitting next to my wife, and I showed it to her. I said, "Look, do you see any blood on his hands?" Because when he reached up to his ear and pulled it back down, there was no blood on his hands.
Really? I didn't catch that.
Yes. However, my wife is a nurse, and she said sometimes when there's a wound, and he did it really quick. It was like this.
Right. I don't think he touched it. I think he just went like, it was just a reaction, like a reaction, a reflex.
Yeah, we don't even know if he touched it because we couldn't see.
Right. Right.
And so, but she said sometimes, when you wound doesn't start bleeding immediately. I mean, how many times you ever cut your finger and it hasn't started bleeding immediately? It takes it takes a second or two. So she said that could be a possibility. But when I saw that, my first reaction was, why wasn't there blood on his hands?
Right.
What's going on there? And I can't shake the thought right now. I can't shake it that this was a body double of Trump.
How do you get there? Like, how do you think that it was? I don't, because I think it really was him though.
The reason why I think it was is because I look at the patterns. I look at the research that I've done where they've got all these realistic masks that they use. I've put them out all over my Facebook. We've got we got Biden, not even Biden of 2023 and 2024 does not look like the Biden of 2012. And you can say, oh, well, it's age and everything, but the ears, the chin, you know.
Yeah.
So I totally believe that masks are being used and we don't know who's who. I totally believe that.
Yeah.
And why would they be doing this right now? Well, there's a bigger operation going on, which we're going to get into in a little bit later. So with that in mind, let me read this to you guys. Like I said, I just got this. I can't verify it. And some of the information, you may not understand it. So just bear with me. The X handle Val Thor put this out, and he's attributing it to Dan Scavino, which I haven't verified that yet. But this is what it says. Trump assassination attempt, what happened? I have mentioned several times this was coming, but the last week I gave you the full intel that this event is going to happen. So what really happened? First, you must understand the Secret Service always scouts the location days and weeks before the president's arrival. The building from which the shooter took the shots was an obvious location and number one priority to lock down and have police there and Secret Service use that building to surveillance the perimeter. It was only 130 yards away from the stage. There is absolutely no way that white building top roof would have been left unattended. It was the closest building rooftop for a shooter to use and the police and Secret Service. Military intelligence surveying the area would have noticed days before. Even Secret Service trained snipers who shoot up to 1,000 yards knew that building was only 130 yards away and was the perfect place for a sniper to be. So, how did 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks crawl the building with hundreds of people watching him, video him, calling police, screaming to security service that a man on the building has a gun? How did drones, helicopters, and thousands of police officers stationed nearby not see the sniper in the 5 minutes he crawled the building and set up for the shot? This includes news helicopters, Secret Service counter snipers, hundreds of contract military guards with intel, and over 3,200 military satellites, including United States Space Force, monitoring the event, did not see Thomas Crooks. Well, like I told you in the recent weeks, now this is where some people are going, whatever. Well, like I told you in the recent weeks, the White Hats were planning to stage the event for several reasons. This included beating the CIA in a time frame for a real assassination event. The event's unfolding of the assassination attempt will lead to intelligent CIA agency operations connected to military coup operations that helped the police and Secret Service stand down, and several agencies given orders not to secure the top perimeter of the building. On the wires, here's what really happened behind the scenes. Now, this is the part that I'm like, okay. Thomas Matthew Crooks was already dead before the assassination attempt. White Hats already knew Thomas Crook was a loner and was already being handled by CIA operations, MK Ultra, just like Stephen Paddock, the Las Vegas shooter. It has been proven since the 1960s the CIA created mind control programs to create super killers that kill opposition. From several hearings, including Rockefeller Committee hearings, the Church Committee hearings, and senators and direct CIA testimony, that the CIA had mind control operations that started in 1953. White Hat intel were aware that Thomas Crooks was already being used by MK Ultra operations and was going to be placed to help assassinate Trump in the late fall. Real CIA operation assassination attempt. The CIA knew White Hat intelligence operations were tracking Thomas Crooks. So the CIA killed Crooks and tried to distance themselves from the MK Ultra ops with Crooks. The White Hats got a hold of Thomas Matthew Crooks' real body. On the day of the shooting, White Hats intentionally had the Secret Service, police, and intelligence operations monitoring the building to stand down. At this moment, a fake actor was placed to crawl the building, and the staged event continued as snipers mocked the killing of Crooks. Only a few agents, part of the military planned operations, tended the body double of Crooks, and in a few seconds, the bodies were switched. The next part of the story is highly classified information and operations taking place for decades in the operations beginning in Russia and the U.S., copying the Russian operation in the 1960s. So I'm not disagreeing that this was a staged event, but what you have to dig deep on is find out who was doing the staging. Did White Hat military intel already get chatter and know what was going on? And they took care of it before it actually popped off. That might be, and I started thinking about this right before dinner, that might be why there were no helicopters in the sky. There were no drones. Maybe they were told to stand down because they knew the White Hat said, hey, we've busted you guys. We know what's going on. We're taking care of this, and you guys are screwed. And maybe they didn't want the stuff to be caught. So we can argue all day long about whether we can argue about that. But does that solve anything? No. You got to dig into it. And I do believe we're going to find out more information. Like today, look at what the media is saying. The media is now saying that this was an Iranian plot. They said
yes, I saw that, because that was the second attempt, which was at the RNC. So they shot somebody there, and I don't know much information about that because it literally just happened. So that's coming up. But let me ask you a question. What is a white hat?
Okay. When we get into the next segment of the show, we can talk about that.
Okay.
I'll give you a quick. So from what let's save that, because I actually did a big picture episode on white hats and black hats.
Oh Lord, what number episode is that? Because I'm on 2. I couldn't watch episode 1 on BitChute for some reason. I don't know why, but I skipped it and I
think it was actually episode 1 we did that on because I was like, people need. I'll find the link to it and send it to you. So
okay.
Here's the thing, folks. We know that the deep state has been trying to take out Trump for a while. That is a fact. They took their shot. They failed. And now they have to cover it up. And so when you look at events, 9/11, JFK, whatever the event is, the cover up is what always gets you.
Right. Yes.
I mean, even in our personal lives, if you're doing something, that you shouldn't be doing and you don't want your spouse, the cover up will get you.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, because a lot of people on Twitter have been saying that it's really unfortunate that some people are actually saying, oh, that was a fake scenario, or that didn't really happen, or whatever, because they're playing into the whole stage, but they go too far and they say, oh, well, that's fake. They didn't try to kill Trump or whatever. And people are saying, well, the same thing happened when people commented, like Alex Jones, about Sandy Hook, and he claimed that was staged and that was fake, and those people really didn't die or whatever, and they sued him for it. But all of these people are saying the same thing about Trump, and nothing gets their lives are not ruined over speculating that maybe this was fake or false or whatever. So that's what woke me up a little bit.
Oh God. Okay. Not one of those people that have said this is staged said that January 6th was staged. They accepted the mainstream media narrative on January 6th and bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
And those people that are calling this Trump assassination, oh, it's staged for Trump to they didn't say it about January 6th. So what changed? Yeah. What changed?
It was in their favor, because that's what they want. I mean, these literally deprived people who really want him dead, and they don't hide it. Like we saw the first clip, Madonna, Jack Black. I mean, recently they said, oh, he should have not missed, or something to the effect of that. And then they had to cancel their tour because they got dropped. I mean, people say it out loud and they don't even care about those certain things. And that's what scares me, is that your neighbor can literally want you dead because you're a Trump supporter, or literally want the former president to die because of something stupid like the TV. You're just eating up all the lies of what the media is saying. That's scary.
And I can guarantee, and I'm going to piggyback on that in just a second, but I can guarantee you that the left, we'll just leave it at that, left and the rhinos, they're going to push gun control on this.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
already started that narrative. And you know why they're going to push gun control on this? Folks, listen to this. This dude was a registered Republican in Pennsylvania. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But in Pennsylvania, they didn't have primaries for the Democratic folks. So the only way to vote in the primaries, if you were Democrat in Pennsylvania, you had to switch your affiliation to Republican. That's what this dude, he switched his affiliation to Republican so he could vote in the primaries and voted for Nikki Haley.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And evidence has come out that he contributed money to the Biden campaign. So the media is going to take this and say, oh, a registered Republican is trying to take out Trump. So even your own people don't like him.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I don't
believe that.
That's the narrative that they're going to push. And they're going to tie gun control to that. So
I'm telling you, yo, that's exactly what I told you last time. I'm like, Florida has closed primaries. So I'm forced to register as a Republican if I want to vote for the Republican nominee. Right. And then I would have to change my affiliation if I want to vote Democrat or independent or any other party. There's like a dozen of them. And so even though I don't identify as a Republican, I still have to have it on paper that I am registered Republican. So that's why I don't believe when they say, oh, he was a Republican and it's your own people against you. No. Because I don't consider myself a Republican, but I am registered Republican. I get it.
Some people, especially JWs or ex-JWs that are not into the political scene and they don't understand that.
Right. Exactly.
And so they will just accept what the media says. Oh, well, the media said he was a registered Republican.
Right.
And that's all they'll go no further digging on that. They'll just accept it. So
that's why we have to educate ourselves. Yeah.
That's why we're having this conversation. And so going back to the people that are talking all these horrible things on social media, oh my goodness, that is insane what these people are saying. And another point, the last point on this is how many patriots, Trump supporters, how many have gone out there and burned their city down or looted stores in their neighborhood or murdered anybody? I can guarantee you if this was on the other foot, there'd be riots in the street.
Yes.
But there hasn't been one on the Patriot side. So let's see who really is inciting violence in this country. So all we can say is there's a lot going on. There's a lot more things you need to look at with this situation. And a lot more is going to be coming out, and we're going to get some more answers to things. Now, will we ever know the full truth? I would hope so. It would be nice, but I'm not counting on it. So but it's good to have these conversations to kind of, let's pick each thing apart and go from there. My final thought on it is, I believe it was a deep state planned operation that was foiled. And now the deep state is screwed and they got to cover it up.
Yeah. And I mean, this is exactly why I'm doing this for our community, because I didn't have anybody teaching me these things. I literally had to do it all on my own. And I don't want other extra Ws to have this conversation alone. So this is why I created that space. And I also have said on Discord, if you want to DM me privately, I'm open to that. My tab on the server is completely open for these discussions, because I know the general chat, not everybody's ready to have these conversations and wake up. They're not ready to take the red pill, because once you take it, you can't go back. So people are not ready to make that move and jump out the matrix. So I understand if people are not ready, but you already know you can text me, you can text Jimmy. I mean, I'm going to have Jimmy on for future streams, but this is the safe space to educate.
I have a great a personal example of this whole situation, what you're talking about. Back when I was doing my XJW stuff in the videos, I had a group on Facebook where I was like, I don't want any political discussion because it's just creating drama and everything like that. Okay. Mind you, I had just woken up from Watchtower, so I didn't know all the stuff I know now. people started talking about Freemasonry inside Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, guys, we cannot talk about this here. No, because it creates issues, it creates fighting. And I just didn't want people fighting each other. So
right.
I was like, I put a stop to it. I was like, we're not going to do this. And I actually created another page for folks that wanted to talk about Freemasonry and Watchtower. At the time, I wasn't aware of it. I didn't know much about it. And we even did a roundtable episode on the Freemasonry thing. And I was like, guys, I don't even want to do this video. I didn't want to talk about it. After I went down the political side of things, I woke up to the whole situation with Freemasonry and Watchtower. That's not what this conversation's about. The point being is everybody has a different timeline of waking up.
Right.
And it's going to have to be something that affects you personally, that causes you to wake up in your thinking, physically, emotionally, whatever. It's got to be something that affects you. So what affected me was, I don't understand 607. And why are they always bashing Trump? Those are the two things that woke me up. So anyway.
Yes. Okay. Just really quickly, I want to let the chat know, like Empath Lady, I see you guys in the chat. We are going to open up the lines in a minute. And if you do want to reach Jimmy directly, I put his Twitter in the description. If you want to share like your email or whatever, because she said she doesn't do social media. If Jimmy would allow that, we can put that in the chat as well so that you can contact Jimmy. I'm also on Discord. So if anybody wants to do that, you can also get that Discord link. And that's where I'm at. I'm always there to DM. So we will open up the lines in a minute.
Yeah, I just put my email address in the chat as well. I just did that.
Okay, good. Because for some reason, my StreamYard, like I'm an admin on here and I can do things, but it's not letting me. So I don't know what's going on with my internet or why StreamYard hates me, but it's not letting me do anything. So I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. So do you want to, okay, go ahead.
I was going to just ask you, did you have any final thoughts on the Trump thing?
No, I think that's it. We covered literally everything. Like, everything that I've thought. Yeah, we really did, because I'm actually able to verbalize my thoughts. Because when I was on the stream with you guys the other night, like on Saturday or Sunday,
you were lost. You were lost.
Yeah, I was going crazy, and I was like, I was going crazy, and I'm like, I was trying to take it in, and then I was like, you know what? I need to go outside. I need to smoke, and I need to do something, because it was just so much going on. So I know how you guys feel. You know what I mean? Like, it happens. And you know what? I'm glad I'm waking up now. I'm young. I'm energetic still. Like I could use my time, my energy, my curiosity to direct this and spend time to do this, because I'm young enough to do it. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to anybody who's older than me, but like I am getting more involved, politically. I'm going to vote for the second time in my life. Like, I'm not used to these things. So it's scary to even talk about it, and on top of what's happening. And then we're like, oh, everything's fake. We live in a 3D world, or, like you got to really break out different levels. Did you see Inception? Because that's the movie that I was telling you.
I haven't watched it yet, but I do.
Oh my God.
It is available to me on demand, so I got to pay $3.99 and watch it.
Oh yes, or you could, or if you have a DVD player, you could get it at your library. Because I'm telling you, Jimmy, Inception and Leonardo DiCaprio, every time he wakes up to a different level, that's how I feel. I keep getting ticked off, and then you're like, and then you wake up again. Like it's crazy. And I saw V for Vendetta, so we gotta do another episode about that one, because I was screaming when I was watching the movie. I was screaming because I'm like, yo, we just talked about everything. And then as soon as what happened on Saturday, I'm like, yo, I totally get V, like the main character. I totally understand what he was doing. And I was like, but it took that guy 20 years to get his revenge. What? Like, no.
Yeah, I could go somewhere with that, but I'll just save that about the whole 20-year thing. I want to say one thing before we go to the next subject. Mr. M, I would love to have a conversation with you. So if you will email me, my email is in the chat. Go ahead and email me your phone number. What I don't like to communicate with you. I just want to talk. I want to have a conversation. So please feel free to shoot me an email with your name, your phone number, contact information, and let's have a conversation, because I would love to talk to you. That's I'm all about trying to find the truth to everything. That's what I'm trying to do, and trying to help others do the same thing. So we may be going at it different angles, but this is where I've always said, you got to find, when you're speaking with somebody, actually find out what you guys agree on first. And then, create a common ground there, and then go into the deeper subjects. I've talked about how me and John, XJW Analyzer, how we do that. So it's worked out great. So, all right, I think that's all I have about the Trump thing. Yeah, my thing is deep state operation gone bad. So that's how now, I will say I'm open enough that if more evidence comes out and changes my mind, I can do that.
Right.
I'm willing to change my mind on things. So, all right. So do we want to do a little, so we're going to the next subject. This shouldn't take too long. Before we play the video, the next thing we're getting ready to do, folks, is we're going to talk about Q. And the reason why is because Ruby doesn't know much about it, and she wants the information. I'm going to tell you that it's not for everybody. I get that. Some people have woken up without Q. But I will say this, from my own personal experience, if it wasn't for the information Trump was putting out, and if it wasn't for the information that I learned through Q, I would not be as awake to a lot of the things that are going on than I would have been. So it has helped me. So when you criticize something that helps me, okay, that's kind of not a cool thing to do. You can disagree with it, but anyway, this video we're getting ready to watch, it's a 13-minute video. I highly recommend you pay attention to it, take notes on it. This will be mine and Ruby's bathroom break.
Yes.
And then after this is done, this is our intermission kind of thing. After this is done, I'm going to explain a few things, and then we'll open up the lines. But this video right here was the first video that I watched that helped me up in my waking up process.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I wanted to say that something very similar. This is for educational purposes. We're not debating. We're not going back and forth. This is just very conversational. It's my personal curiosity, and Jimmy is well informed on it. And so this is just for educational purposes. So let's watch the video.
It's a great video.
Yeah, I played it on my last live.
Watch what protein shakes do to your body.
Watch what
this is a protein drink. You've got almond butter.
Don't boil or fry another egg before listening to this.
This isn't the video.
Okay.
Here we go.
Get ready.
I wonder why we go to war, or why you never seem to be able to get out of debt. Why there is poverty, division, and crime. What if I told you there was a reason for it all? What if I told you it was done on purpose? What if I told you that those who were corrupting the world, poisoning our food, and igniting conflict were themselves about to be permanently eradicated from the earth? You might think that an idealistic fantasy. Well, let me tell you a story. We acknowledge there are criminals, of course. They rob your house, they steal your phone. They can murder you too if they think they can get away with it. We have all experienced criminals in one way or another. Criminals, as we know, are those who choose personal gain over the rights of others and have no regard for the law. But here is where you need to expand your thinking. Criminals can also succeed in business and politics and can be elected as our leaders. If a criminal became the president, imagine what they could achieve. They could use the full weight of their executive power to commit much larger crimes and ensure they and their friends were enriched to the fullest extent possible. A criminal president could create alliances with other criminal presidents and then collaborate on more global criminal activities. Anything goes. Drug running, human trafficking, whatever makes the big bucks. The 20th century was turbulent with war, economic disaster, famines, and displacement. We have always accepted these things as just human nature and simply the way the world works. Something inevitable and due to the weaknesses of human nature that drive us to these actions. This is where we were all tragically wrong. You are not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. So how can we just assume that it is human nature that is driving all this pain and misery? What if it wasn't human nature at all, and as a result of something more deliberate? We were taught that capitalism was the cause of a massive rich-poor divide and the reason for poverty, which in turn is the reason for war, crime, and starvation. Others were taught that communism, a system of equal wealth across all people, was really to blame for the mess. But you see, folks, it is none of these things. It is not our nature to fight and be racist. It is not in our nature to rob from others. What you must learn is that it was the criminals all along. Yes, they got power. More power than a criminal should ever have. They rose to the top of media companies that control our news and entertainment. They ascended to the top of the banking system, also to the Oval Office, to Brussels, to the Vatican, to the Crown. They crept in quietly. They became leaders of agricultural companies who have control over our food supply. Also big pharmaceutical companies, the ones we trust to help us when we're sick. Nobody stopped them, and they just recruited more criminals to help them. First, they accumulated the world's wealth. They invented a system of money called central banking, which lends money to governments with interest, placing countries into eternal debt. People's wealth got less. Their wealth got more. Much more. When a criminal is already as rich as they can get, then protecting their ill-gotten gains becomes the priority. Angry citizens tired of being poor are a major obstacle and can revolt if they suffer enough. The criminals needed to prevent this, so they diverted attention to the last remaining competitor, the people of the world. You and me. We were not happy being ruled by criminals and having to work 3 jobs just to survive. We won't accept it. So they used their control of the media to set black against white, woman against man, young against old, Muslim against Christian. They convinced us we were the problem so that we would fight and destroy ourselves. To get it done faster, they attacked all aspects of humanity that make us strong. Like family, using their influence over culture, they popularized lifestyle choices that led to a surge in broken homes, lost youth, and substance abuse. I could talk all day about how else they deliberately weakened us, and it would turn your stomach. We were just trying to get on with living. So where are all the good guys? Good people just want to get married, have kids, make a living, and enjoy their liberty. Well, there were good guys, many. One became the President of the United States in January 1961. He knew about these criminals and wanted them gone. He knew their intentions for us all, and he wanted to fight them. Sadly, he had no idea how powerful they had become. Reagan also had good intentions for the American people. He knew this criminal mafia controlled almost everything by the stage, including the powerful rogue intelligence agencies. His economic policies were promising, but the criminals needed a weak America to hold on to their power. Reagan was shown with a bullet that a growing U.S. economy and prosperous citizens were not what the criminals wanted. It was looking pretty grim for good people. Every time someone wanted to stand up and do the right thing, they got stopped. Were we ever to be freed? These criminals are also known as the Deep State, or Cabal, because of how they control things behind the scenes. Every president after Reagan was one of these Deep State criminals, and their empire got even stronger. With each bad president came new depths America and the world would sink. The world collapsed into darkness. To tell you how? Destroyed factories, declining job numbers, sicker people, opioids, destruction of Iraq, Syria, and Yemen with pointless war, displacement of people into Europe, ISIS, terrorism, collapsed governments, poverty, and genocide. Total misery. Do you think that was inevitable? Hell no. Well, here is where things start to take a new turn. When the full picture comes to be known, it will forever be regarded as the greatest story ever told. Well, here is the top line. Some good people still held positions of power. They valued humanity and the rule of law. While the criminals discussed their game plan at the annual Bilderberg meetings, the good guys were making plans of their own. The information age was coming to change history forever. As the internet flooded into every home and appliances became smarter, and when people started carrying tracking devices, an opportunity to put an end to criminal control over the world was emerging. We became connected, trackable, and surveilled. But so did they. They became dependent, just like we did, on email, SMS, instant communication. It made crime much easier, but it also put them on a grid that, if accessed by the right people, would expose their crimes to the public and end their iron grip on us once and for all. In this new age of information, it was thought that the military should also have its own intelligence agency to focus on cybercrime and espionage. They called this the NSA, the National Security Agency. Here we had every phone call, email, and text from every device stored and archived, whether it be someone making a doctor's appointment or the deep state setting up a massive heroin purchase for the Taliban. In the right hands, it would be enough information to expose the entire sinister criminal plot to rub us blind and wipe us out. Hold that thought. Now I need to explain the plan. The good guys were devising a plan to reclaim the world from the cabal and return it to the people. It would involve alliances with multiple countries, since the criminals had global rat lines, trade, and other infrastructure in place that would need their cooperation. It came down to two choices for America: launch a military coup to seize the government from whichever cabal puppet was in the White House at the time, or win legitimately, take control of the NSA, expose the criminals for what they are, and arrest them all. Obviously, the first option would be very troubling for the public. With people still preoccupied with cabal-engineered social issues, they would likely revolt and hurt themselves and others. No, it would have to be the latter. So they needed a candidate who could win, and who could win big. Many states like California had been so heavily inundated by criminals that even the voting machines were electronically set up to swing votes any which way. It would need to be a very decisive. Good patriots in the U.S. military and their global partners asked Trump to run for president so they could take back control of America legitimately without alarming the public. Trump was a good choice, obviously, because he overcame the voter fraud and won. But he was a patriot, and he was loved and admired by the public. He was not interested in joining the cabal because they hated America, and he did not agree with them on that point. As soon as he showed interest in taking power, they activated their media assets to viciously turn on him. That's when we saw the sudden hatred emerge. Even when he won, the cabal still had no idea what he was a part of, and the sophisticated plan that was about to unfold against them. Shocked at their loss, they mobilized their full arsenal of intelligence, media, money, and technology to try and take back power. There were people at the top of the DOJ and FBI that put together a plan to flame Trump and have him impeached. This is where we come back to the NSA again. All messages were stored and could be used to expose this plot and prevent Trump's overthrow. An entire book will be written about the first 2 years of Trump's presidency: false flag terror attacks, down planes, missile alerts, assassination attempts. Here's the point. The world is currently experiencing a dramatic covert war of biblical proportions. Literally the war between the forces of good and evil. Can't put it in simpler terms, but I can say it appears the good guys are winning. The cabal had complete control over North Korea. They hijacked the Kim dynasty, took them hostage, and worked to build up a nuclear arsenal to threaten the world. Kim Jong-un suddenly embracing peace was simply because the deep state were beaten and driven out. ISIS was also destroyed in the year following Trump's win. We are all starting to see the pattern now, that enough time has passed, that our biggest global concerns are starting to recede, and peace is returning. It is all evidence that the good guys are winning the war. But we're still in the middle. While a lot is improving, it still puzzles many that most of these known criminals are still free. especially the higher-ups like Hillary Clinton, the Bushes, and Obama. That is coming in the next chapter of the story. That's why we have Q. The good guys with control over the NSA began the Q intelligence dissemination program to invoke an online grassroots movement that came to be called the Great Awakening. It started on underground internet channels and then moved to the mainstream. Q has been a fun distraction for those who follow world events and desire truth, but it is about to begin a much more important and necessary phase, keeping the public informed when the deep state war breaks out onto the surface. By this, I mean high-profile arrests. Yes, folks, the criminals I'm referring to are famous politicians, actors, singers, CEOs, and celebrities. People who have earned our trust, respect, and admiration. They have done very bad things that are all fully known and documented, and they will be severely punished. Those of us who have followed Q since the beginning will be here to help you make sense of the coming events. We are among the first to realize that our petty partisan divisions are just trivial distractions, and we are all enslaved by a hidden enemy. We realized that the problem was never capitalism or socialism, Democrat or Republican, black or white, Muslim or Christian. We know it was just very powerful criminals who had too much power. Fellow slaves, it's time to buckle your seatbelt, recognize your true enemy, and embrace a new future that we all owe to the brave patriots who risked their lives to achieve this victory against the greatest force of evil the world has ever known. May God bless America.
I get chills when I see that video. And the reason why is because I didn't realize how massive the issues were around the world until I saw that video. It answered so many questions for me, but it also created a lot more questions for me as well. And that's starting me down all the rabbit holes, because I basically took all the little clips from that video when they put up a picture and I started studying everything.
Right. It made you study it because it ignites the curiosity. And that's the very first time or second time that I've seen something related to Q. And I know that Colty said the same thing in the comments, like I'm watching it. And that's exactly why I brought you on, is because I want to know.
I can't see Colty's comment. I don't know why I can't see Colty's stuff. What'd they say?
They said, like, this is the first time that I've ever seen something Q related, and I said, I get you, Colty, because on StreamYard we have two different audiences, so it's people from my channel and then Fixing My Faith, so you might not see different. It depends on which channel you're watching from, but here you can see everything on StreamYard. So I agree with some of the comments. That's why I brought you on, because I'm like, what is this?
Okay, so I've known about this since March of 2020, obviously. I just haven't talked about it because I didn't think some people were, but the majority of people weren't really ready to hear about it.
Right.
And that's why I was like, you know what? Maybe now with everything going on, they're understanding, they're waking up. Maybe now they'll be open just to look at the information. And so let me switch over to my gallery here real quick, because there's a few things I do want to bring up about this, and I'll get into it. Okay. So there were a couple of XJWs over the past couple of years that have put out Q videos. But the problem with what they were putting out, it was all negative. They never explained what it was. They never, said anything about it except, oh, it's a cult.
Right.
Now, being someone that was in a cult for 40 years and then coming out and studying what cults were, I was like, yeah, this isn't a cult. This is not set up that way. And whenever they would say that, I knew for a fact that they hadn't done any research on it.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and say something about this. Now, Q, first off, it's not for everybody. Okay. And there are patriots out there that have woken up to the corruption of this world without Q. Me,
right.
I just found it completely interesting and I loved it. I wouldn't have known about how bad human trafficking is, child trafficking. I wouldn't have known about some of the political things that happens behind the scenes and all this stuff if it wasn't for Q. Now, people say, well, Jimmy, what is Q? All right. So here, it's an open source intelligence operation developed by the U.S. military and supported by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. The goal of Q's operation is to provide information. Let me repeat that. The goal of Q's operation is to provide information that counters the false narrative of the mainstream media. So this was military intelligence finding its way to the civilians, not just in the United States, but around the world. There are many people around the world that know about Q. So we all know that and this is why I said not all PSYOPs are bad, because Q is a PSYOP. It's definitely a PSYOP, but it's a PSYOP to open your mind and get you to thinking.
Right.
And so another post I wanted to, we are in World War III, Second American Revolution, or whatever you want to call it. This is a battle fought as informational warfare, not your traditional notion of war. The Q posts were crystal clear about that and provided the breadcrumbs to entice people to search out truths and share. We know more than we ever knew because of it. This person that put out the post said, I admit, I originally expected shock and awe, but now I see this type of war as to inspire people to fight for the truth. Whatever would be gained, we did not learn the lesson the hard way, and this is indeed hard. The battle is far from over and requires digital warriors to fight just as hard to expose every truth and encourage action by taking both to act on the truth and hold bad actors accountable. So the way it was done is there were posts that were put out, drops that were put out. We call them the Q drops. They were put out and it would be like questions, you know, and I'm going to give an example of that here in a second. And then talk about certain thing at the moment. Then the digital soldiers would read the drop and then they would start digging for the information. Then there would be people that got together, the digital soldiers, the civilian part, because what this is creating for the first time in world history is a military civilian alliance. In that video, it showed that the deep state's last thing to go after was the people. So now this is us fighting back against the deep state with information. Now, people say, well, who's Q? Q is not one person. In the drops, it tells you that less than 10 people know the plan. Less than 10.
Right.
So if somebody comes out and says, oh, I know what Q, no, they're lying to you. They are fake. And even in the Q drops, it says, be careful of who you follow. And I've actually said that in the XJW community too. You need to be careful who you follow in the XJW community. It's the same thing. Now, the name QAnon, that was actually coined by the media to start demonizing and bashing the Q movement. Why would they bash it? Because they knew that this information was getting to the public and bypassing them.
Right.
That's why they demonized it. And all the people still connected to the brainwashing and propaganda of the mainstream media would parrot what they would say and say, oh, it's a cult. Okay.
Right.
So let me counter that real quick. And I read this to you earlier. If Q were a cult, it's the only one in history where the leader insists you think for yourself. 2, promotes truth and nonviolence. 3, your sole weapons are logic and research. And 4, you pay no dues and receive no pay nor glory. Q is the worst cult in the world because of that. If we're just horrible. I mean, the leader tells you to think for yourself. A governing body tells Jehovah's Witnesses how to think. The mainstream media tells people how to think.
Right.
Q doesn't do that. All right. I'll stop there for a second and let you.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, it circles back around to what we were talking about an hour ago, which was the deep state and how they're trying to manipulate people into believing something over here while distracting you from something that's really going on over here. And it's just a mess. And so, like you said before, if they're demonizing something in the media, that's your cue to be like, okay, let me dig deeper into this. Why do they hate him so much? And that's what woke you up. And I think that's where people are kind of missing the point, is because they're so focused on what they've been either conditioned or told by the media on how to believe and how to think about the Q movement, or people who, you know, follow the posts or whatever, and they're not actually looking for themselves. Okay, what's being said, what's being talked about, or they don't look into it. I mean, that's what happened to me. I remember when it was in the news, I didn't look into it. It just flew right over my head. Like, okay, these are just some people who are keyboard warriors who think they know something and they predict stuff, and then coincidentally something would happen and they feel as if they knew it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a big deal compared to everything else that's going on in the world and your day-to-day life activities. You're not really looking into this type of stuff. It's only until you talk to somebody and you're like, oh, so you're in the chat, you're in the forum. Okay, what is it about? It's the same thing with Alex Jones. They demonize him when he was talking they try to censor him. Same thing with Nick Fuentes and the America First movement. They try to say he was a Holocaust denier, or he was a white supremacist, or like they always try to demonize these people who are actually saying truths that you may not like, that makes you uncomfortable, but it's the truth. And they demonize the person. They try to assassinate the character, ruin their lives, try to get them arrested and get on the FBI list, try to censor him, shut down the studio and everything, so that they don't have free speech. And that's not American anymore. That's fascism. Like, if they don't let you speak, if they don't let you have exactly what we're doing here, then what kind of a country is this? So when I was looking into Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes and all these other commenters, and I'm like, why in the world are they being demonized so much? It's the same thing with the Q people and the Q stuff. And we just saw a video, and that literally was the truth. 13 minutes of the truth was being told to you in such a condensed moment. And it's hitting you like, oh, damn, like, you're not going to see that on TV. You're not going to see that on national television. They're not going to tell you the truth about what's really going on. They want you to believe what they want you to believe. Exactly. You're 100% spot on with everything you just said. And talking about demonizing people, you've heard of some of these shootings over the last, especially in 2017, 18, and 19, because this actually started October of 2017 is when it started. And there's over 4,000 some drops. There's so much information in there that, oh my God, your head will freaking explode if you actually looked at the information. And so going back to these shootings, they would say, oh, well, he was a QAnon inspired follower, and that's what caused him to do this. Okay, well, for one, read this. The the Q movement does not support, condone, or tolerate violence of any kind. Our movement is founded on peacefully sharing information and informing the public to create a better world for every race, religion, gender, and culture. It's likely there will be false flag events that occur between now and the election, this is talking about 2020, that will be blamed on Q supporters. This will allow the media to further censor the flow of information our movement shares. They will do whatever it takes to keep the masses from being exposed to the truth prior to November 3rd at the time.
So
Right.
that's what it is. And so I had 3 posts. Did you want to say anything to that?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. So I found 3 post Q drops that I wanted to share with everybody, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay. Because I think after I say this stuff, you guys will understand what I'm talking about. I think people may understand right now. Let me go find those posts real quick. If you want to look at the Q drops and understand, there's a lot more to it, folks. And I'm not even going to try to explain everything tonight because it would take a little while. Let's just say there's different calendars used. Some of the drops aren't meant for anons. They're meant for the deep state, calling out the deep state, because the deep state sees this stuff too. So that's why there's so much stuff in code. If you want to go look it up, go to qalerts.app. That's qalerts.app, and you can see all the posts there. So I want to go to and give you an example. Let me go to 3907.
In the meantime, do you want me to post the link just in case? Because people could wait backstage if anybody wants to join, and that would give people time to jump on if they want to jump on.
Yeah, because I'm going to read these posts, and then we can go from there. Okay.
If anybody comes on, then they'll be backstage.
All right.
The link.
So here are 3 Q posts. The first one is drop 3907. It comes from March 28th, 2020. And you tell me if this sounds culty. You tell me if this sounds extremist or anything like that on any of these drops. The entire world is watching. Patriots from around the world are praying for America. We are all bound by a feeling deep inside, a feeling that cannot be publicly expressed for fear of ridicule, a feeling that challenges the mainstream narrative against that which we are told to accept and dare not question. Put simply, that people are being abused by those in power and time is running out. Remember the battles of Lexington and Concord. Give me liberty or give me death. For far too long, we have been silent and allowed our bands of strength that were once formed to defend freedom and liberty to deteriorate. We became divided. We became weak. We elected traitors to govern us. We allowed evil to prey on us. Those who claimed to represent us gave us false hope, made false promises. The evil and corruption only grew. This is more than party politics. This is about restoring old glory. This is about saving our land and our people from those who wish us harm. This is about preserving our republic. This is about preserving our safety. This is about restoring our strength. This is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is about protecting our children. This is about saving America. We are all God's children. We are fathers. We are mothers. We are daughters. We are sons. We are brothers. We are sisters. We do not look at race. We do not look at skin color. We are united in these states of America. We are and always will be patriots. We must rise again. We must unite again. We must fight again for God and country. God bless America. Where we go one, we go all. That was drop 3907. Had a tough time getting through that one. I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's exactly how I felt this past weekend. You know, like I feel like I'm a newfound patriot. I'm looking into these types of things. I'm getting politically involved, and it kind of hurts to see that, and then to always have like that second thought in the back of your head, like, oh, is that the deep state? Or you know what I mean? Like, you know, like we should be able to have a normal government or like a normal experience, a normal country. And it's like everything is in such disarray and destruction. And it's like they're deliberately destroying America to get their own agenda or to keep power or whatever. And it's angering and it's sad. That's
actually a good intro into this next drop. This was not as long as the other one. It's drop 4462, June 13th, 2020. Division is man-made. Division is designed to keep you powerless. Division is designed to keep you fighting each other. Division is designed to keep you enslaved. The narrative has you. No one person is above another. Unity is strength. Unity is love. Unity is humanity. Trust yourself. Think for yourself. Only when good people collectively come together will positive change occur. So true. And the last one I wanted to, this was 45:59. Okay, this isn't that long either. Okay, so this is drop 44:59, July 1. Like I said, folks, the only reason I'm reading this to you is to give you an idea of what's being said. And not just saying, oh, it's a cult. Anyway, sorry. That offends me. It's just
I know. I said that in the last stream. I was like, you know how many people have told me that?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm like, really? Anyway, I digress. Okay. So drop 45:59, July 1st, 2020. There was a time when our children stood at attention and with pride, put their hand on their heart, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. There was a time when strength and honor meant something. There was a time when standing for our flag meant something. There was a time when our history, our heritage, was taught with pride and respect. There was a time when respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend our freedom. There was a time when we were grateful. There was a time when our accomplishments meant something. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united under the American flag, a flag that was carried in battle by brave patriots as a symbol of freedom and justice for all, no matter race, religion, or background, a beacon of hope when flown, a mark of respect to their memory to those who willfully sacrificed their lives to defend. There was a time when we, the people, decided our future. There was a time when we, the people, had a voice. There was a time when we, the people, were united and strong. There was a time when the media was free from public bias and corruption. There was a time when our elected leaders stood their ground, dug in, and defended those they represented. How many men and women in uniform are currently serving on the front lines abroad, only to look back in horror to see the homeland on fire? What does the word patriot mean to you? Land of the free? Home of the brave? Now is not the time to be complacent. Will you answer the call? As Ronald Reagan quoted, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
Yeah, it's almost like Facebook posts or like Twitter posts. It's like people who are just sharing ideas and information.
Yeah, and it goes deep. And so, but that's what I have to say about that. I wanted to share that. So hopefully people have a different outlook of what it actually is and maybe look into it.
Yes. Okay, so I want to bring Lucy up onto the stage. You're on, Lucy. How are you?
Hi, thank you. Ruby, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having this political discussion. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Jimmy, for being so outspoken with your beliefs. I can tell you that there are things that I don't agree, but I can tell you some of the things that I do agree, I think will actually draw us together. I definitely agree with the fact that you have said over and over that you advocate for peace. I agree with you 100%. We need to be advocating for peace. And
Absolutely.
the rhetoric that we are all experiencing right now in the news about, I mean, it goes both ways. There's people who are saying that an angel protected Trump, and then there are people who are saying the opposite and wishing the opposite, and that is shameful. Shameful. When in 2020 I don't remember if you guys remember this, but there was some rhetoric going around that anyone who was a Democrat was also a pedo, right? There was that. I can't remember how it started, but where I worked I was a cook at a vegan restaurant, and someone came in, and the city that we lived in had a mask mandate. And so we had signs up, and people were coming in and yelling at our servers saying, you know, you can't agree with the mask mandate or you're a pedo. Like, it was such a far-reaching like jump in people's heads. And it was really hard. Working in the restaurant industry, I'm sure you can understand that there were quite a few young people who worked with us, and they just didn't understand where the hate was coming from.
Right.
And the people that were working in the restaurant were just simply following the rules. Otherwise, the owner of the restaurant would have gotten fined. We didn't have a choice.
Right.
And so and we were also, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were all scared to death. We didn't want to take the disease home to our families. So we were doing everything that we possibly could to protect ourselves and our loved ones. And we all got to see how scared people get, right? We get scared. And then we start acting feral, and then we start acting tribal, because that's the only way that we can feel safe again, is when we pair ourselves with other people who are saying the same things, or at least saying the things that make sense to us, right?
Right.
And it would be nice if we could go through the next transition in our political scheme of things without people being so scared. That's what I wish we could do, right? Because people don't make good decisions when they're scared.
Agreed.
We only make we only can make good decisions when our body is regulated and we have all the information that we feel like we need to make good decisions. So how do we do that? How do we educate ourselves? How do we educate our family members? And how do we teach them about the things that are happening without scaring them? That's what I would like to do.
Okay, this ain't my show, this is Ruby's show. Ruby, do you want to take this?
You can go first. Go ahead.
Okay. It's very difficult to wake people up who are not ready. It's just like the XJW community. We have a very hard time waking up my mom, who's been in this their whole life. She's been indoctrinated by Watchtower. No matter what I show her, will not sway her. And that is the same thing with the political side of things. Unless somebody is ready to have a conversation, or unless somebody is ready to look at information, you're not going to get nowhere with them. And one of the Q posts did say this. It said, it's not until the precipice of destruction that people have the will to change. Now, what is that precipice? For some, it could have been questions that they had about something. You know, why is Trump getting yelled at all the time or criticized all the time? That was for me. For some people, it's the border. Why are we letting all these people come over? For some people, it's inflation. For some people, it's war. So whatever the precipice is, it is for that individual. It is going to be something that clicks in their brain. They're like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Now, if you want to try to wake people up, I guess the best way to do it is just by posing questions to them. Hey, what do you think about the shooter getting through Secret Service? that you gotta ask questions that get people to think. And then when the conversation starts, you got to keep them on point. You got to keep them to that question, because the indoctrination and the brainwashing wants the cognitive dissonance to kick in, and then they're jumping to another subject. Like with Watchtower, if you're talking to a Jehovah's Witness at the door and you ask them a question, they're going to jump around and dance around that question and say something else, totally unrelated. So by keeping the conversation focused on that issue and leaving emotion out of it, that's the key, is leaving emotion out of it. And we got to remember, when it comes to fear, piggybacking on that, when it comes to fear, fear is used to control everybody. So that's why I put out all the time, do not live in fear. Do not give them that power. That is yours. You keep it. So when I see things on TV, like the Trump attempted assassination, I had no fear, because I knew there was something bigger at play. I hope that helps a little bit.
Can I respond or ask another question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so I finally understand it, that there isn't any way to wake somebody up who isn't ready. I understand that part.
Okay.
The part that is the interesting is the struggle. Is I think we all I fall into this trap all the time. When I'm sharing new information with someone, I share the worst possible. You know, the Hoover Dam has a crack in it, and that means that everybody downstream is, going to be flooded out. You know what I'm saying, Jimmy?
Yeah.
When we're trying to, share a policy about a specific candidate or something, then it's the fear tactic that gets people to pay attention, because everybody's so busy. I think Ruby even said it on the last live stream, with inflation and kids and life, and everybody's working, and we still have to admit that we just got over with a huge world event that changed all of our lives permanently, forever, whether for the better or for the worse. We lost over 1 million people here in our country. That has to change. It'll change. All those kids that didn't get to graduate the way that they thought they were going to.
Yep.
Like, there's so many layers of this that we haven't even unpacked yet. And now we're going hard into our second major general election after that. It's scary. It's still scary for people. And it's hard to get people to sit down and think about the policies, especially when we have debates like we had a couple weeks ago that were just embarrassing, right? Just purely embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Democratic supporter. I'm a third party voter. I've been a registered Green Party member since 2016.
Okay.
Because I feel very strongly that I should actually vote for my values, not against somebody who's bad.
Correct.
And I know that my party's not going to win, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm trying to give some sense of peace and hope for people, because I don't want to live in a country where there are people who are feel like they have to shoot their opponents or shoot their neighbors. I don't personally live in that mindset. Excuse me. But I know that there are areas in our country where people do have to live like that. And somehow I would like to be able to make it safe for those people to be able to think and be able to make decisions based on what their family needs, and not based on what they're too scared the other side is going to do to them if they don't do it that way. Does that make sense?
you make, yeah, crystal clear. I get you. And I feel you. I understand everything you just said. Yeah. You just want to be able to live life without all the crap that we've been dealing with. Bottom line, right?
Well, I mean, I would like to be able to participate in politics, but I don't want to have to face someone who's just screaming whatever talking points that they have memorized. Like there aren't any good faith debates anymore. I mean, when's the last time you saw like a national debate that actually talked about policies that people cared about?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me. It was before 2016.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats, they went to court and proved that the DNC actually proved in court that they do not have to listen to their voters.
And they're getting ready to probably do it again here soon.
Yeah.
They're probably getting ready to do that again.
Yeah, because they're a corporation. And the sad part is we've got people out there who watch those stupid commercials that tell everyone what the mom science thing, talking about climate change and stuff that we should be concerned about. But certainly I'm not going to shoot my neighbor over climate change.
Right.
But they get people worked up over it, and then they are closed-minded to listening to real policies. That's what I'm talking about, being scared.
Yeah.
I actually want to answer to all of Lucy's concerns, because that's literally what I'm going through. That's why I said that earlier. It's like I can't even live regular life and participate in politics because of all of the tensions that are going on. And then what happened on Saturday just blew me over the edge. You know, like I was screaming. I was in shock. I was like, why is this happening? So and I think that's also hard for a lot of Gen Z, like my generation is actually old enough to vote. You know, we're old enough to participate, and all of this crazy stuff is happening. And it's like, what do we do? And honestly, Lucy, that's exactly what I'm going through. It's hard to shift through what is fake, what is real, who can I believe, who can I listen to? Because at the same time, I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness who doesn't even have the experience in politics to know who's a good politician, who's a bad politician, what are the talking points when somebody says something like this? Oh, that's fake. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we weren't even awake to that. And that's what, just like you said, 2016, it was like everything hit the fan. And it was this guy, Donald Trump. And before even Donald even got into politics, I was a fan of Donald. I'm from New York City. He's from New York. He did the Apprentice show. I was really heavy into it. I loved his family. I followed. Yeah, right. Like I was all up in Ivanka's clothing line, and I was on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like I loved the family regardless of politics. But then when I started listening to what he was talking about, I was like, ooh, 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 like he was waking me up, and I wasn't ready for that. So I just stood quiet. And that's what a lot of people do. That's called like the silent majority. All of these people are completely quiet, and they're listening and they're learning. But at the same time, it was very fearful. You would get shot in the street if you wore a red hat. You would get assaulted for supporting Trump. You know, not in Florida because, you know, majority Floridians were already red, but anywhere else in the country, it was scary to talk about politics. And so that was the fear. That's the fear. Even online, you would get censored. You would get shadow banned. You would get your account suspended. Like I got suspended because I was sharing the Hunter Biden laptop stuff. And it was because people were sharing it to me, and they were like, they can't ban us all at the same time. Let's mass post it at the exact same time. And I guess that's considered like what Jimmy was talking about, digital soldiers, because it's like they can't take us all down. So we all have to participate together. And that is the strength of we the people, because not everybody has a gun, but many people do. And imagine if they rise up, what's going to happen? Because that's what they're trying to do. They want the civil war. They want the uprisings. They want the fires and the burnings, but it's not happening. It's because those people are educated enough to know that they don't want to fall into that trap, because you already know you are going to be arrested, thrown in jail. And is your message going to get through? No. You can't be bombing places up like the Unabomber, and you can't be shooting presidents like JFK. Your message is not going to get through. And then on top of that, like we talked about, you got the deep state to fight against. So it's like, who do we fight first? There's just so many things coming forward that I don't even watch the news anymore. I don't even participate. I don't even give my opinions anymore. I only do it here with other XJWs who I know, like, you're a real person. You're not a bot. You're not somebody on Twitter who I'm arguing with, or who I'm spending my time even to explain this to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm only going to do this where I know that it's going to be heard. It's going to be taken. It's going to be applied. It's going to be a discourse where more than one person can engage. And that's the movement. That's why they don't want people talking with each other. They don't want you on social media. They are going to censor you just like they're doing to political people. And that's exactly what Watchtower did to us too. They called us apostates. They gaslit us. They made us seem as if we're mentally ill or whatever. So I see Watchtower like the U.S. government. And then I look at the U.S. government and I see the swamp. I see the snakes and those lizards. I mean, I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying, like, you could see them. I'm just saying, like, you could see how fake these people are. And I'm like, that's what a rhino is. That's what a dino is, because this is not real politics. This is the swamp talking. Okay, you have to remember, they're wearing human faces. They're trying to humanize themselves, but they are greedy. They're drunk on power. There should be term limits in Congress. They should be out of here. And quite honestly, they're to be honest, they're too old to be running in these offices. It should be young people creating change. Like be a real progressive. Be somebody who really wants to make change. Not these people who are making millions of dollars and then telling you that you can't use a plastic straw. You can't use a plastic bag in the grocery store. You can't fly the way you want to fly. And then COVID happened. As soon as COVID happened, I'm telling you, I woke up. I took the purple pill. Forget about red. I took purple, green, blue. I took every pill at the same time, and I almost overdosed because I was like, you're not gonna tell me I can't go to the theater and watch a movie without a damn mask. You're not gonna tell me. You see, that's what being an American is. That's what being a patriot is. But you can't be afraid. You have to be willing to be dragged out or arrested. Like literally, they put my grandma in a hospital for COVID and they said, we can't come to the hospital. I said, what? If I was there, I would have ransacked that hospital. And I was like, I'm not going to let my grandmother die alone. And they were saying, oh, you need a vaccine. What? I don't need no damn vaccine to live my life. What are you talking about? Do you know who you're talking to? I'm an American. Okay, but you see, we don't know how to be like that because we were Jehovah's Witnesses all our lives. Okay, so I know for a fact that if I was there during that time, because I ultimately left, but if I was there, that was literally Nazi Germany, having to show your card to enter establishments, having to get shot, check to see if you're sick or not. I was like, absolutely not. And that's where I was like, I'm gonna have to move to the free state of Florida. Like, it was literally, I had to make changes in my life if I wanted freedom. Freedom is expensive. It's not given to you. You have to make radical changes in your life
and you have to fight for
be
it.
free. Yes, you have to fight for it.
Yes.
Okay, can I give you the other side of it? Because we weren't given the vaccine. We had to battle for it. And we were obviously I worked in the restaurant, so I was in a customer facing role. We saw customers on a daily basis. And this was early on too, because it started here. So I'm in Arizona. And so it started here in March 13th was our first lockdown, I guess, considered day, like when our state finally admitted that something was going on and that kids needed to not be at school the next day. Like that was the first day. It was either the 13th, 14th, or 15th, something like that. But we couldn't get our hands on, we were supposed to have the vaccine by the end of the month or like April, I think it was, but we could not get it. We actually had to wait in line, and like we had a CVS, like a Walgreens, a drugstore. We got one of the nurses to call us when at the end of the day they had leftover vaccines because, you know, they can't put them back in the fridge. And we would take we would take employees from the restaurant up there to hopefully get like 2 or 3 vaccines at a time. So like there's the other side of it where people who wanted the vaccine couldn't get it. And I was never forced to wear a mask because I live in Arizona and it's considered sort of a Republican state at the time. So there is the other side of it too. I believe you. I believe you that you felt oppressed, but we didn't see it out here. Over.
Gotcha. I could say a lot about that. I have my own feelings about the whole, I call it the pandemic. And I try to choose my words carefully because I really want to unite people. But when it comes to the whole COVID thing, that was, for lack of better words, that was a huge psyop to scare everybody in the world. And I think, again, as you said a second ago, when fear kicks in, we don't make the smartest of decisions sometimes. And when it comes to taking the jab, wearing the masks, like the video we played, The Plan to Save the World, is we were hoping that the people that we had in power actually had our best interest at heart, which we know now they didn't. But too many people have been conditioned or subjected to the matrix, whatever you want to say, that we felt like that's what we had to do to stay healthy and protect others. And I feel, I mean, me personally, I never wore a mask. I never got tested. I did the research on it, and I was like, this is you got a 99.9% chance of survival. Why am I going to put something that Fauci said wasn't going to be on the market for 8 to 10 years? Why am I going to put something that was rushed into my body when I don't know what it is? And so that's what kept me out of all that. And yes, they will force you to do things to push their agenda. That's why they were mandating things, mask mandates and all that. And I didn't mean to go into this, but one thing people need to realize is when there's a mandate, it's not a law. You don't have to follow it. But so many people equate mandate with law, and they like, well, I got to do this because it's the law. They mandated it. No, there's two separate things. So whether people know it or not, they had a choice to participate or not participate in the COVID psyop. And I chose not to participate. Others did, and I feel bad for those who have lost their lives over things. I feel bad. I hate that. Because again, the deep state doesn't care about humanity. They do not care about human life. They will destroy all of us. Hell, the Georgia Guidestone said they wanted to take the population down to 500 million. There's 8 billion people in the world. That's a lot of dead people that they don't care about. Somebody with a soul and who has love in their heart, we don't want that. We want everybody to prosper and live their life to the fullest and and not have to deal with this stuff. So I'd say, Lucy, if you want to send me an email, I'd like to have another conversation with you sometime and talk about some of this, because there's some things that you said that I'd like to, just share with you and just see what you think. Just have a conversation.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't had a vaccine since. So I got the first 2.
Good.
And then I
Good.
realized that I had made those decisions based on fear and
Yep.
based on the fact that nobody was giving me all the information I needed. And once I realized that, I'm like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. But
Correct. Good job.
But I did get COVID a year later. I didn't get the first run of it, but I can tell you that I did get long COVID, and I have suffered since then. So, like, if I hadn't, I pacify myself by saying if I hadn't got the vaccine early on, maybe I would have gotten the worst version, and maybe I just wouldn't be here. I don't know. I mean, we all make decisions based on things that we have. I just feel like I'm living in the movie Rogue One all the time, making decisions on things that I don't know about, hoping that I live to the next phase, right?
Right.
That's what all we're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you're not taking any more. I'm glad you're doing that. Let's just say that. You can't change the past, but I'm glad you've made that decision.
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah, seriously though, send me an email. I'll put my email again in the chat for folks if they want to email me. There we go. Is there somebody?
Hey, Ruby. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. Thank you for joining.
I'd like to address something that Lucy brought up, if I could. She was talking about the shots and whatnot, and I'm kind of like Jimmy. We're both in the state of North Carolina, and she was talking about when it first started that there was a lot of fear and everything associated with it. But I would like to go on record saying not everybody had that fear, because, like Jimmy, I didn't wear a mask. I've not had a shot of any type since I was 13 years old. I'm 57 now. But I didn't buy into it for the simple reason when they showed that guy in China, the first one that supposedly fell on the sidewalk dead from COVID. Nobody got to confirm that. The government got in there, got him out of there. Nobody got to see if he died from any comorbidity that was in his body or anything. And every time we brought up an objection, they tried to squash it, either on Facebook or YouTube or anything. And any time that a disease is supposedly so deadly that they have to test to see if you've even got it, it's supposed, like Jimmy said, most of us didn't get tested, but they had to test so many people. And everybody I followed online, not a one of them died. They're all anti-vaxxers, including me. None of them died. We all got it. We went through it just like a cold or a common flu. We don't have no long-term problems from it, such as disease or coughing, or some people said they had an irritating cough that would not go away. It was persistent. But anyhow, I say this just for the simple reason that video y'all watched a while ago of Q, where it showed the pharmaceutical industries, that is one of the most damaging things, in my opinion, besides that and the sprays they're putting on our food. Anybody that knows me, they know Wild Wild is all about health. I love to hear somebody succeed, whether it's financially or health-wise. And I tell everybody, Jimmy, that's even why I asked you on that other show you were on. I was like, do you know anybody in your family that currently has diabetes? There's nobody in my family that's even got diabetes. And I come from a big family, but I know a lot of kids I went to school with. I'm 50-something. They died in their 40s. They had problems with diabetes, and they did not eat healthy. They didn't grow their own crops. They got all this stuff from the store that has insecticides, pesticides, and all this stuff on it. And that's why I encourage anybody, if you can grow your own stuff, please do it. No matter if they say this stuff's been washed 100 times at the store, it's been sprayed, it's got all these chemicals on it. And I'll tell you what, the healthiest food you're ever going to get is food that you grow yourself, that there is some insects that will eat it. If they eat it, it's beneficial. It's not killing them. You just cut off the part they eat and you consume it. It's very good for your body. But anyhow, when I saw that pharmaceuticals, there was a quote somebody made on Facebook, and I think we should all know what that quote was. It said, why would you trust your health to a company, the pharmaceutical companies, whose very livelihood depends on you staying sick? If they
Yep.
can cure you, they go under. That's why they're multi-billion-dollar companies, every one of them. And then somebody says, oh, well, the government looks out for us, right? Because look, they've had to pay $1 million in fines over the years and stuff. Who would not, if you as a businessman, who would not pay a few $1 million every now and then to rake in billions per year? Do you see what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's not a gamble for them. I'd pay a few $1 million every year if I knew I was going to rake in billions over the next year, but not to kill people or hurt people like they are. But I'm just saying, if I had a business, shoot, yeah, I'd pay a few $1 million. But anyhow, like I say, anybody that knows me, I'm all about pro health. You know, get as healthy as you can. Get away from these side effects from these pharmaceuticals, because you take one pill, what happens? You have to take another pill to offset that other side effect that comes with this. They know how the game's played. They know how to keep you sick. And Jimmy, just one more question I got for you. I know a lot of people don't like making their health known, but me, like I said, I've not had no shots of any type, any vaccine since I was 13. I'm currently 57, and I know I'm a little, you're elder. I think you said you was 51, 52,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
51.
But you said something the other day that I caught hold of. You said you don't even have a doctor. I'm the same way. People say, well, what are you going to do if you get sick? Well, they've got this thing called emergency room. They've got these medical centers that you can go to without a regular doctor. But only the sick need a doctor. Even the Bible brings out that point. And if you're healthy and you look after your health, then you won't need it. And look how many less doctors there'd be if we weren't so dependent on all these prescriptions. If people would take an active share in their own immune system, eat healthy, exercise, get proper rest, get plenty of liquids, water and stuff, your immune system's a beautiful thing. You can strengthen it up, but not the way they're doing it with pharmaceuticals. I'll tell you what, it will break your immune system down.
I agree with everything you just said. Everything. That's all I can say to that. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, but that's the information. They don't want us to know these things. And that's how they
Right.
keep you from living off the grid, doing your own stuff. And that's the information. Yeah.
Yeah. Did Lucy want to say? I think she wanted to say.
I was just gonna add, I do agree that it would help us all if we did get back to being able to grow our own food, but it's not feasible for everybody. So
Or
if we
have companies, Lucy, that were actually concerned more about people and their health, and decent companies that would do that, you know.
Right, but
And
we already know that that's not happening. What's happening is our companies are becoming more and more monopolized and becoming more and more top-down driven. So
that's why we got to get rid of them and, you know, expose them and call them out. That's why, you know, some of these companies are folding right now. And you can't tell me that there's not somebody out there, just a regular Joe right now, who maybe has a dream of having this farm that gives fresh fruit and vegetables to the people. And yeah, he'll get paid for his work, but doing it with a good heart. There are people out there. I'll tell you right now, I got 4.5 acres of yard. If I was able to grow a lot of food, I would love to share that with my neighbors. Love to. And
sounds like a challenge. Sounds like you just signed yourself up for a 5-year plan. Like, that's what we need. We need people like you who have land, who are willing to help teach people how to do the stuff that we know how to do, because we were taught, but then we moved to urban areas, and we probably, I don't know your situation, but I had to move to an urban area because I was a single mom and I had to have a job to pay for my 2 kids. So I didn't get to raise my kids on the land that I had to leave.
Right.
I did have 2 acres and I did have a garden, but I had to leave. And so, like, we need spaces to teach kids in school. We should have gardening in school. We should, I mean, these are practical things that we need to be teaching the next generation, and we've lost it. We've lost 2 generations.
Yes, Lucy, and to feed onto that, that's the thing. The people, doesn't matter race, gender, nationality, whatever, the people forgot they have the power. the power to do anything. And the people that have been controlling us, like with that video, it says they wanted to control every aspect of our life. Everything. So we were completely 100% dependent on them. So if
they
the
just
people,
want to profit. They just want to profit off of us, really. They don't really care what we do. They just want to profit off of us.
exactly, exactly, at 100%.
Yeah.
So we just got, that's why conversations like this is so important, because, you know, maybe we can help somebody, you know, find their voice, find their passion, and
Right.
start going after it. I mean, I know a lot of people that would, I mean, I know a lady that has an egg farm right now, and she wants to do the best for she can for her people. Remember, we don't have butchers anymore. We don't have the milkman coming anymore. Those were good things, and it was much healthier. They weren't owned by all these corporations. Because like Wild said, they put crap in our food, they make a profit, they make us sick, and now the pharmaceutical industry is making money. Goes all the way back to that. They when they do these things, our well-being is not a factor.
Exactly.
Right. We can, but this is, if I don't get any other point out, I just want to share this one thing with you, Jimmy. I feel very strongly that we do have the power with our voice, and that's, we can vote. One person, we can vote. We can vote for people who believe in our values, and we can vote for people who want the same world that you and I do. And I really hope that, yeah, the comment that's on the screen right now, the corporation owns America, that's true.
Sure.
So we need to, we have to stop voting for the corporate people. We have to stop voting for the people who want to see the Jeff Bezos of the world keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what we need. We need to like bring it back down to the people level so that we can share in the profits. And that's really what I wanted to share with you guys this evening.
And we appreciate that. And that goes into a whole nother subject on the voting issue. And people say, well, our voice don't count. Okay. Ruby, I think we need to write that down as a topic for later on why it was hijacked as well. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, but I do want to add some thoughts to everything that was just said. That's how the government wants to make you feel, as if you can't do things because you have to live in a city and get a job, and you have to pay for childcare. And I mean, these are all of the society structures that force you to do things that you don't really want to do. Like the same thing with sending your kids to school. I had to get a job. I got to make money. I got to send them to these public school systems. I can't afford a private school. Same thing with the living arrangement. COVID got me into debt. I can't get an apartment because my credit was messed up. I have to live in different circumstances. So it's like literally politics can intervene in your day-to-day life. And I never thought that it could happen. And that's why I'm so passionate now. And I'm talking about these things because I'm like, guys, yes, it is important to vote. It is important to keep your local representatives accountable. You have to start local first.
Yes.
Way up. Because if you focus on your district or your city or your mayor, your governor, those are the people who are going to impact your life literally. If it wasn't for my governor, I would not have the scholarship that I have to homeschool my kids. I wouldn't have school choice. I wouldn't have these bills that have been passed by my governor. You know what I'm saying? So local government also matters tremendously. And I did have to sacrifice lots of different luxuries in life. I degraded my phone. I have a flip phone. I got rid of my job. I don't make as much money as I used to, but I had to make those sacrifices so that I can say, no, I'm not going to listen to what the government tells me. I'm not going to send my kids to school. I'm not going to do certain things. I'm going to live my life the way I want to. And if that means I have to get rid of certain things, if that means I cannot go out to eat as often as I did, that I can't take my kids out to amusement parks or the zoo or whatever, I'm willing to do that to protect their minds from whatever indoctrination, whatever agenda people have. parental control needs to be given back to parents. The control of everything needs to be given back to the voter. I'm going to vote who I want to represent me. I'm not going to vote for the person who isn't for my values. Like you said earlier before, you changed your third party voter because you want to vote, even though you know you're not going to win. You are true to yourself, and your vote is true to you. And that's amazing. That's great. I would do the exact same thing. If I didn't feel that the Republican Party was representing me, I would do the exact same thing. But fortunately, the Republican Party in Florida does represent me. Governor DeSantis did give me what I was expecting, so fortunately, things had to radically change for you to enjoy the freedoms that you want to enjoy. And just like Jimmy said another time, that not all psyops are bad. Now I understand what he was trying to say, because like I mentioned before, if anybody knows about the Unabomber, his manifesto, I read it. I literally dived into theories, conspiracies. Why did people do the things that they do? And when you read his manifesto, he was just a regular guy living in the boondocks off grid and complaining about the Industrial Revolution. And when you actually dig into that, what he was saying is exactly what we're saying. We need to grow our own food. We need to stop listening to the government. We need to stop doing this. The only thing is, he went about it the wrong way and he started bombing places up. Okay. So sometimes people, they don't know how to control these emotions. They feel helpless. They don't feel that their vote is going to matter. And they resort to violence. They resort to these things that are going to make you insane. They're going to say, oh, that guy was crazy. He was mentally ill. And they're not going to take the message. So we have to do it the right way. And we do have to vote. We do have to take these things seriously.
Can I, Ruby, I want to share this with you real quick, because this falls right in line with what you just said. It's Q Post. I looked it up. Q Post 4463, June 13th, 2020. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. Everything you are today, everything you see today is an attempt to eliminate that. To remain silent, living in fear, controlled, is to remain powerless. A moment in time. History has taught us that people will rise, Judgment, Revolution Day, against the rulers, from pharaohs to kings to elected officials. A rigged system of control and corruption, evil, on the backs of people. Modern day slavery, people will rise again. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Q. So, yeah, I thought that we're talking about our voice, but our voice matters. But maybe we could touch on that, because I got some more stuff I can say about that. But it's getting we've been on here now almost 3 hours. So,
yeah.
But,
your voice really does matter. And that's why I was wanting to say what I did about the pharmaceuticals and stuff. A lot of the people I know, they laugh about the word pharmaceutical, and they spell it with an F-A-R-M. They love their pharmacy, in other words, with a real farm, but not the P-H-A-R-M-A-C.
Yeah.
So it's getting a real healthy benefit to your body. But I appreciate what Lucy said too about the third party, because I know the far left wing and the far right wing all belong to the same bird. I'll tell you that right now. Don't let nobody yank your chain and act like they don't. Trump, they can't control. That's why he's such a danger to the establishment. They cannot control him. But way before Trump got in politics, there was a lot of people that brought out some of his shortcomings. We already know it. Like, I know we've been kind of ranting on other stuff, but he does have his failings like we all do. He's already admitted, that he did pay hush money. We know that, but how many other people hadn't did stuff? And I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but we do know that he might not be the best role model in all aspects. But I'll tell you, if I had my druthers, we all know eventually we're going to have a woman president, right? I mean, it's going to happen. We knew there was going to be a black president. It's going to happen. It did happen. Barack Obama. There's going to be a woman. I wanted to see Tulsi Gabbard run independent. She used to be a Democrat. She swapped over to Republicans. I wanted to see Tulsi Gabbard run independent. That's who would have got my vote. I love what she stands for. Her book, For Love of Country, I'd like to read the whole thing. I've only read excerpts, but I really like where she comes from on what she stood for. She served in the military. She knows what it's like to be a soldier. She's going to keep them guys out of harm's way unless it's a dire have to. I can tell you that right now. So anyhow, I was hoping that's who Trump would get as his VP nomination. I think he did a fairly good job on the one he picked, but my favorite would have been Tulsi Gabbard if he would have took her. But that's my opinion. And going back to something else that Lucy was talking about is that she did take some of the shots, but at least you didn't get caught up on that every few months. Another booster, another booster. You know, I used to joke around, well, here comes the rooster booster, the super duper rooster booster shot, because so many people was talking about it coming up. And I'm not saying that because I know people did die, but here was what I was trying to illustrate. If they wanted masks for COVID-19, why in the hell? Anybody that's a nurse or in the medical field will tell you, how do you catch TB? Look how many people die every year from tuberculosis. Why did they not implement that over the years and save all them people? It's highly contagious. If you research TB right now, look how many people every year die. But did you notice during the C-19 years that all of a sudden people didn't die from the flu like they did? People weren't dying from a bad cold. It was all C-19. And if the hospital could get somebody on a respirator, guess what? They got $30,000 more dollars. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Anytime you've got to have incentives like that to get people to use, I question then, is this not just a farce? And it turned out to be. I agree with Jimmy, pandemic. It was real. And I'll tell you what, if you want to look how real it is, type UNC, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Look how they were testing with COVID-19 way before it came out in China over there. Ours was the one state that was pushing it, and they were testing it, and they're testing in all its forms. And this ain't over by no means. There's going to be another one. And that's why I stress everybody, strengthen your immune system. We can beat it. Keep yourself as healthy as you can. Eventually, something's going to get us all. But hopefully, it's while you're asleep when you're 90 or 100 years old. You die a good, healthy life. And it ain't all about the days, how long we live, but we want a good quality of life along with it. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to push another one, but it's going to fail because the people are awake. It's not going to have the effect on the people like the pandemic did. It's going to fail. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, but they're still going to push it. They've got it in.
They're going to push it. They're going to push everything they can because they know their backs are against the wall.
Just like this bird flu coming up again. I'm already watching. I don't know if you are, Jimmy, but it's already taking place. So, and it will probably hit the United States right around election time or somewhere. Just another diversion.
I just want to say I'm going to give I guess a final comment here because I need to go ahead and jump off here. But I would say do your best not to live in fear because the next 6 months, and maybe sooner, y'all are going to see things here in the United States that you never thought you'd see before. It's going, you think Saturday was crazy? That's going to be a cakewalk compared to some of the stuff that's going to be happening, not just in this country, but worldwide. There is a seismic shift going on in this world right now. And that's why that's why I feel so compelled to do what I do, because I don't want people living in fear. I want them to realize that they have their power and that they're important. And we can take out this deep state, those criminals. All they are criminals. Criminals that have gained power over all the people. There's more of us than there are of them. And if we come together, bypassing race, religion, politics, gender, if we come together as one human race, they're done for. And they know it. That's why they push constantly all their little agendas. Because if they can keep us busy and we don't realize the power we have, they got us. No more. That time is over. So
yeah, they would love to divide and conquer. If they can keep us divided like Q video said, black versus white, straight versus gay, religious versus non-religious. Anything to keep the upset going, to keep people from focusing on what the real issues are. They're going to do it. They're going to put it forward.
Exactly. I hope everybody enjoyed the episode tonight. I had fun with it.
Yes, I did too. I was not expecting this much engagement, this much and the chat was on fire. We were on fire. I love this series. I can't believe I started this not knowing any of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so thankful that everybody has joined us. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, it's important that we have these discussions, and it's not until you actually have decent conversations that you can start understanding where people are coming from. Even if you have completely different views going into the conversation, you should make the goal to come out with common ground on something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
So
yeah.
Anyway, but I guess that's all I got to say tonight. It's getting late.
Thank you so much.
It's like 12 o'clock.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining, and hopefully next Tuesday I can have Jimmy or anybody else who wants to join me. Join the Discord, text me, DM me on Twitter, any platform that I am publicly open and up there. Definitely text me, email me. We can definitely have more than us on here. You know what I mean? Like any topic that you're interested in. I am willing to go to the other aisle. If you are a left wing or a liberal or progressive or whatever, I would love to have both sides commenting and giving their opinions on literally everything that we've been discussing, because this is not going to be the last time that these topics come up. I mean, we're going to see what happens in November. You know what I mean? I'm going to do a stream. I'm thinking of doing like a live stream for the presidential night. You know what I mean? Like, politics is hot right now, and I'm so glad that I started.
If we have it.
Stop playing. Oh my God. Yo, for real, let's see what happens. But I'm just saying, I hope everything goes well. I'm glad Trump is safe. I feel so much better now, because when you talk about it and you shake it off a little bit, when you get it out your system, like when you talk about it, if I talk to somebody like Jimmy who understands where I'm coming from, is not going to be like judgmental about my conspiracies or like my theories. It's comfortable to like get that off and not be like judged and say, "Oh, Ruby, you're crazy." That's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, Jimmy is the type of guy I could talk to. You know what I mean? I could talk to Jimmy about crazy stuff.
Well, speaking of crazy, the last thing I'll say is the last two rabbit holes that I've gone down were the reptilian one and the flat Earth one.
Oh, I saw that flat Earth video that you was in on the panel with the comedy guy John, and then a flat earther.
Yeah. Let's just say those two rabbit holes were very difficult. So, but wow, it's crazy.
You're killing me, and I have not gone down that road. So if you want to go down that road with me,
I really don't want to go down that road yet, because I'm still torn.
Right. But in the future.
Yeah, I'm still looking at stuff, but damn, that's all I'll say. Damn.
Oh my goodness. But you see, like, I'm open-minded enough. Just like with the Q stuff, I would have never talked about this stuff before. You know what I mean? So
Did you learn more? Do you know what Q is now?
I think I have I'm able to accept it more as a like regular grassroots people communicating and using it like a social media platform. That makes more sense than crazy people predicting stuff, or like psychic type of stuff, or prophetic type of stuff, like going really out there. But for me, it feels like, oh, just like how people use Facebook or Twitter. Like that's what we do all the time. We discuss, we share stuff. We're like, oh, did you see this video that, you know, the person is here one moment and then gone the next? You know what I'm saying? But then you get to go to the comments and say, oh, well, this is this and this. Like people just explaining to you, helping you understand things. That is what it is for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I've really enjoyed this evening. I hope everybody else has too. So
all right, I'm gonna put this outro for us, and this is a new outro that I made for Vern when he has like his news stuff. But I'm gonna use it here, so I'll play the outro.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Cool.